Good morning. The King of the North prepares for a coronation.
Andy Burnham is buoyed on by Labour backbenchers as he arrives in Westminster.
What a 24 hours it has been. Less than a day since Keir Starmer announced his resignation.
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
Yes, we're going to discuss all the crucial moments in this very fast-developing story now, including this unforgettable moment where Starmer nearly cried.
To my fantastic wife, Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad.
Well, US President Donald Trump shared his take on the turmoil engulfing Sir Keir Starmer.
Because I think he's a lovely man, but I said, you're really messing up energy. You have windmills all over the place. In the meantime, you have the North Sea oil, and they won't let anybody drill.
And as the world reacts to the news, should the former mayor of Manchester, Greater Manchester, should I say, Andy Burnham, call a general election as his first order of business?
Well, Sir Keir Starmer here in Downing Street still, probably just for a few weeks, but very little power. The man of the moment has all the momentum, but there will be real questions about his mandate, given he's been elected by just 25,000 people in Makerfield.
A decade today since the course of British history was changed forever. 10 years on from the Brexit referendum, we're going to be looking back at how it all went down on that fateful night in 2016.
Britain bakes. The nation prepares for record-breaking temperatures after the Met Office issued a rare extreme heat warning. Well, stay tuned to find out how you can stay safe in the sun.
And in sport, World Cup, obviously, it's England versus Ghana tonight, and a win will see us through to the round of 32. The World Cup Golden Boot race, that hots up. Messi scores 2, and Mbappe scores 2, and Haaland gets a hat-trick last night. And the 2023 Wimbledon champion, Marketa Vondrousova, is banned for 4 years.
Good morning, it's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
How did everybody sleep last night with the heat
bad.
and the thunderstorms?
Yeah,
Double trouble.
It was.
Double trouble.
It really was.
Yeah.
I slept through the thunder absolutely fine.
Did you?
Yeah. I slept. It
was the heat.
It was the heat that got me. It was the heat. I cannot sleep in this heat.
Yes.
It's dreadful.
It was the worst last night.
Yeah.
The heat was unbelievable. And then you had the trouble with Monty, and then we had
Monty
Nelly
the dog.
jumping, scared of the...
They were so scared of the thunderstorm,
Yeah.
So Monty's never been in a thunderstorm before, so he was just shrieking and wailing. I had to go down to him.
Did you
I haven't slept a week.
Did you do the thing when you were a kid of when you were scared of thunder that it was you used to count how many miles away it was?
Yeah, I was doing that this morning.
Was that true? But is that a fact, or is that just
I think it is.
I think it's a science, yeah.
Do you think so? So the lightning, and then you'd count 1, 2, 3, then here, and that's how many miles away it would be.
I think
Fraser Myers knows everything.
He will know. Fraser would definitely know.
There's definitely some sort of division you can do.
Yeah.
Is it divide by 3 or something like that? I can't remember, but it definitely will tell you there is some way of knowing how far away it is.
So I'm just realising. So what are we actually counting? Where the lightning is? How far away the lightning is?
Where the eye of the storm is.
Yes.
How far it is, how far that particular jolt of lightning is.
Because it was 1, 2. I remember as a kid doing that 1, 2, and then it would try and calm me down a little bit, just make me scared.
I don't feel like that weather was on the cards, no?
I think
anyone got
no
heads up.
one got heads up in Cornwall last night. This is where it all started. I started seeing on social media loads of people sharing their lightning. This massive lightning strikes.
Yeah, pictures from the Midlands yesterday afternoon, and obviously it's come down.
Proper fork lightning this morning as I was driving along. Really, probably like to start Thunderbirds. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was quite scary driving in this morning. So
Yeah.
do stay safe if you're out and about this morning. But Fraser tells us it's stopped raining here in London.
Stopped raining,
at least. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Even though I can hear something now.
The thing is now...
Hold on, count. 1, 2, 3. It's 3 miles away. Don't worry, we're fine.
I can definitely hear it pelting down outside now.
Well, now it's going to be really humid today.
And then we've got, this potentially record-breaking heat tomorrow and Thursday.
84% humidity.
Oh,
It's going to be pretty severe.
Right.
That's the worst bit for me. I don't mind the sun. That's the worst bit's the humidity.
Yeah, enjoy the sunshine, but do take care today if you're driving or out and about. gbnews.com/you'll-say. Let us know if you managed to sleep last night, because we didn't.
At least the pollen count will be low.
The pollen count will be low. We'll be washing it all away as we speak.
Right.
Now to our top story this morning. Andy Burnham is inching ever closer to being crowned as leader of the Labour Party and Prime Minister.
The self-proclaimed King of the North could be handed the keys to number 10 in just 3 weeks.
Less than 24 hours, would you believe, after Sir Keir Starmer gave in to demands and announced his resignation.
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
Well, in an emotional speech, he paid tribute to his wife and children.
And when I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife, Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad.
Well, if Andy Burnham is successful in his bid to take over from Sir Keir Starmer, he will be our 7th Prime Minister in just 10 years.
Yeah, look at this. This is a list here of the Prime Ministers we've had. It is absolutely astounding, isn't it? Even Italy is laughing at us at this point. Should we take a listen to the resignation speeches of our last 6 leaders?
When I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife, Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad.
Well, we know that Wes Streeting isn't going to stand in a Labour leadership challenge. So, will Andy Burnham become Prime Minister without a contest? Or will a general election be called once he does become Prime Minister? So many questions remain.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, this is a very fast-moving situation now. But let's speak to GB News Chief Political Correspondent Catherine Forster, because, Catherine, we would say if this were the Tories, this wouldn't be so unprecedented. But with Labour, most of the British public haven't seen them go through such a tumultuous time with their party leader before. What should we expect to happen next?
Yes, good morning from Downing Street, and the Labour Party now doing exactly what they promised not to do, because people do not like infighting. And you were saying about a 7th Prime Minister in 10 years. We're actually going to have 5 in 4 years, because 4 years ago, we had Boris Johnson, then we had Liz Truss, then we had Rishi Sunak, then we've had Keir Starmer, and almost certainly now we are going to get Andy Burnham. And just like Boris Johnson, when that government was in a very deep hole with Theresa May, they looked at a popular Metro mayor who had a way of connecting with the public, and they thought that he was a winner and he might save them. And so it proved to begin with, though it all went horribly wrong. Of course, what will happen with Andy Burnham, because the Prime Minister, yes, he's still in that building behind me, but all the power really has drained away from here. All the momentum is with Andy Burnham. He was treated like a rock star. He had helicopters overhead of his trains. His taxi was tracked, and then he had this incredible welcome in Westminster Hall, where I saw so many cabinet ministers and hundreds of Labour MPs looking happier than I think I've ever seen them since the general election. But so much now that we do not know, because Andy Burnham was elected by 25,000 people in Makerfield. He's been focusing on getting elected there. We know he can beat reform there. But what about his policies more broadly? He's been pretty changeable. I think I can say that to be tactful on many issues, and he's going to inherit all the same problems. So despite the fact that I think most Labour MPs are happy with this change because they think that he is a winner, there are real concerns, even amongst allies of Andy Burnham, that he isn't quite ready, and we don't quite know what he's going to do in government. So it is possible that there may be a contest. Somebody like Darren Jones, perhaps the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, somebody like Al Carnes, who was Defence Minister till he resigned, if they can get those 81 votes. Not that they would necessarily think that they were going to win, but to force Andy Burnham to flesh out his positions and to have a contest, because I think there will be real questions about his mandate to govern, given as he's only just become an MP, and we're already hearing that from opposition parties, Reform in particular, saying call a general election, and who will be Chancellor. That is a massive decision. We thought it could be Ed Miliband. We know the unions are not happy about that. Maybe Wes Streeting. He said he's not going to run, but that would upset many on the left of the party. So many questions, very few answers at the moment. But for Sir Keir Starmer, he had a drinks reception to his supporters and aides last night where his wife thanked him. I think he must be feeling pretty bruised, but unfortunately for him, he just proved to be incredibly unpopular with the public.
Catherine, are you getting any sense when you're speaking to Labour MPs that there's fret or worry about what this all looks like to the general public? Andy Burnham, who didn't stand in the 2024 general election, who, as you say, was just elected by the people of Makerfield, something like 0.03% of the population, who could potentially be Prime Minister in just 3 weeks' time. As you say, he's largely untested outside of Greater Manchester. How do you think that looks to the great British public? And do you think that Labour MPs are aware of that?
Yes, I do. I feel that it was almost sort of euphoric, the mood yesterday, but clearly that can't last, because the hard work is going to start now. Now, his aides up in Makerfield said to me last week that their preferred option was for him to come in at the beginning of September, unless there is a contest in which, you know, he might be exposed as not having the answers. He's going to be Prime Minister in just about 3 weeks' time, and even his supporters think he's not ready. I think Labour MPs are aware, and some are very, very worried about how this looks, because I don't think we've ever had a situation before, certainly not in my lifetime, where somebody has taken over as Prime Minister, where not only have they not been elected by the public, but they haven't at a minimum gone through some sort of leadership contest. I mean, actually, Theresa May, there was going to be a contest, and then Andrea Leadsom dropped out, so it didn't happen. The point was, though, she was already in government for several years. She'd been Home Secretary. This is completely different. This is a man who failed to get elected as Labour leader twice to Ed Miliband and Jeremy Corbyn, both of whom then went on, of course, to lose general elections. He's been out of the picture as Mayor of Greater Manchester for several years, and yet here he is, I think, highly, highly likely, 99% certain, to walk into that black door behind me in just a few weeks' time.
Yes, Catherine, indeed. Well, it's going to be a very fast-developing situation in Westminster there, so thank you for being with us there live in Downing Street. Thanks very much, Catherine. We'll come back to you again very shortly. In the studio with us now is Deputy Editor of Spikes Online, Fraser Myers. Fraser, good morning. Good to see you today.
Good morning.
What a day it was yesterday.
It was an absolutely extraordinary day. We had the Prime Minister resigning, finally falling on his sword after many, many weeks of people telling him to go, particularly after those absolutely disastrous local election results last month. And he tried to list his achievements. I think it was quite a dishonest speech. If I'm honest with you, Keir Starmer doesn't have many achievements to his name. He talked about stabilising the economy when really, you know, we just had a month go by where we borrowed £26 billion in an entire month, which is the same as the borrowing for the entire fiscal year of 2018-2019. He talked about putting the Labour Party in a better position to win another election. Well, he's currently third in a lot of national polls. He even had the gall to talk about the UK being in a good position on defence and him having sorted out the UK's defences. Well, I'm afraid that was one of the triggers for his resignation, because the entire Defence Ministry resigned. So I think it was a typical Starmer speech in its dishonesty. I don't think he'll be missed. I think he was probably one of the least honest and least competent leaders of our generation. And everyone has seen the graphic of the leaders, our Prime Ministers having shorter and shorter terms. Lots of people will say that means the country is ungovernable. I don't think it is. I think the public deserve a better quality of leader, and they're not getting it. And I don't think, I dare say, they're going to get it from Andy Burnham, who has many of the traits of Keir Starmer.
Yeah, because he's had this hero's welcome yesterday, didn't he, in Westminster? 200 MPs crowding in for a selfie with him. Do you think we're going to see a coronation, or would you like to see a contest?
I suspect we will get a coronation. You're right to describe it as a hero's welcome, and of course all of the news channels were following his train down from Manchester and crowding him at London Euston as he came out. Lots of people have described that or likened it to Lenin appearing at the Finland station in Moscow ahead of the Russian Revolution. I think Andy Burnham is more the politics of John Lennon, slightly airy-fairy, imagined soft left type politics rather than hard left figure. But still, you can see the wheels are in motion to give him a coronation. There are some leadership contenders popping up. So Al Khan's, for instance, has expressed interest in running. Darren Jones, the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, has expressed interest in running. I think he has absolutely no hope whatsoever.
Especially these people who are putting their hat in the ring. They're not... obviously, I'm assuming none of them seriously believe they're going to beat Andy Burnham. Is this posturing? Is this trying to get a bit of media attention? Is it trying to say, look, I'm dangerous, I want a cabinet position? Is that what this is?
It does seem like that because, you know, all of the heavy hitters, all of the potential other really serious leadership challenges, whether that's Angela Rayner or Wes Streeting, they rode behind Andy Burnham by this stage. So a coronation is looking more and more likely. Now, there's a question as to whether that's a good thing for the country. Andy Burnham remains pretty much untested on the national stage. He failed 3 times to become leader of the Labour Party. Lots of people will say he's been successful as the mayor of Greater Manchester, but there are a lot of areas that are that he's not responsible for there. That actually, you know, it's the national government that has to take tough decisions. Whereas if you're a local mayor or a regional mayor, you can essentially bask in the the good things and then blame Westminster on anything that goes wrong. He won't be able to do that when he's Prime Minister. It's not necessarily clear how he wants to govern. He's trying to, you know, what we're seeing in the press that actually it's going to be continuity Starmer, in which case would we need a general election? I think we should probably be able to have a vote on our leader, especially if they want to change the direction radically. I can't see him wanting to do that.
Continuity Starmer, who was continuity Tory. This is the problem, and this is the reality, in my opinion. I'd love to hear what you guys both think as well, because it feels to me like the British public are going through Prime Ministers so rapidly because they're not getting the change that they're being told they are voting for.
Absolutely. You know, we have some very serious fundamental problems in this country, whether that's a stagnant economy, that could be out of control immigration, both legal and illegal, underfunded defence. The list goes on, and yet it doesn't seem as if any of the recent Prime Ministers have been able to get a grip on this. And that, unfortunately, is why their terms are so short and why they're being constantly turfed out of office. Not because the public is too fickle and, you know, doesn't understand the problems. And the governing class presents itself as sensible and measured and technocratic and competent. Time and again, they show themselves to be the opposite.
OK, Fraser, we're going to see you in the next hour. Thank you very much. Well, we had some crazy weather overnight, didn't we?
It was mental.
And potentially record-breaking temperatures this week. Ada McGibbon has got all of the details for us.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Widespread sunny skies today, the odd shower or thunderstorm, but otherwise it's just increasingly hot across the United Kingdom with extreme heat expected in some places. Temperatures rising quickly once any showers and thunderstorms clear from the east of England. 1 or 2 showers could pop up across northern England and more especially the north and northwest of Scotland. Patchy cloud in northern areas, unbroken sunshine elsewhere, and temperatures widely across the UK looking at the mid to high 20s or low 30s, but across the heart of England into parts of Wales, temperatures into the mid-30s, 37 Celsius, the most likely maximum temperature. That would beat June's temperature record set in 1976, but It's going to get even hotter over the next few days. It's also going to stay very warm overnight, and you can see into the evening still temperatures in the mid-20s across a large part of Scotland, into Northern Ireland as well. Some patchy cloud here, blue skies continuing for many parts of England and Wales. 6 p.m. temperatures 34, 35 Celsius for the likes of Oxford and London, for example. Those temperatures staying elevated overnight, especially around some western and southwestern coastal parts, with high humidity expected through the day and night of the next few days. We can expect a very oppressive feel to things, buildings and people struggling to cool down. So we start off Wednesday with temperatures already in the low to mid-20s, and those temperatures are going to rise very quickly through the morning. Wednesday, one of the hottest days of the week, and one of the hottest days ever recorded in the UK. Patchy cloud and some showers in the north of Scotland, hot sunshine elsewhere, temperatures peaking at 39 Celsius, if not a little higher in places.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't go listen to the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me. What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Right, well, rare red warnings have been issued as Britain braces for extreme heat this week.
Yes, forecasters say temperatures could reach 38 to 40 degrees in parts of England and Wales, potentially breaking that June record set in 1976. And so many of you get in touch and say you remember that summer of 1976 and just how hot it was.
Well, this is it. I mean, listen, also, so many people just want to enjoy this day today, which I also encourage.
Yeah,
really do.
Very few hot, sunny days.
We do, yeah, we do, and it'll be freezing cold before you know it. So do enjoy it where you can. But all we say is just be sensible, but also we do know this country is not built for any change in temperature. So that means things like schools, transport workers and the NHS could all be affected with humid days and very warm nights, making it harder for people to recover.
Well, we're joined now by a friend of the programme, pharmacist Thorin Govend. Very good to see you this morning, Thorin. So let's talk about this red heat alert that's been issued. What could that mean for people's health?
OK, it's really important that if you're taking any prescribed medication that you carry on doing that unless you're advised to do so by a healthcare professional. But we know that some medications might make you more prone to the risks of heat. So some of our viewers might be on medications for their blood pressure. Some of them might be on things like diuretics, so they make you go to the toilet more. So if you are on medications that increase your risk of dehydration, we definitely need to be thinking more about keeping up our fluid intake.
Yeah, I guess what's the best advice, Thorin, for people who might want to be enjoying the sun, who of course also might be a little bit vulnerable? What sort of advice do you give them? Because we do get these very few rare warm days, and I know it's going to be exceptionally hot today and tomorrow in many parts of the country, but people still want to be able to enjoy themselves. So how can they do that safely?
Absolutely. So look, make sure you're sipping water little and often. Make sure you're reapplying sunscreen, because the big problem is people get excited, apply their sunscreen before they go out, and then they just forget to top it up. Make sure I would be recommending SPF 50. And make sure you're forgetting don't forget your ears as well. I don't know about you, both of you, but I feel like my technology is failing me a bit at the moment. The phones, the laptops just feel a bit slower.
Yeah, definitely do, Thorin, definitely. What advice do you have? A couple of things for you. What advice do you have for people who are suffering with hay fever this week? Because that's coming at us, quite high pollen count this week. And also many people up right now who haven't slept a wink last night, really struggling with sleep. So what advice do you have on those two things?
So top tips when it comes to hay fever, don't just think about medication. That's my top advice as a pharmacist. So things like Vaseline around under your nostrils, that will trap the pollen. Making sure you're washing your clothes before you come inside. Monty, our dog's going to need a wash before he comes into the house, so that we get all the pollen off. So I think it's just about making sure the pollen doesn't come into the house. And I know it's really tempting sometimes to get all the windows open, but actually that's the worst thing you can do, because it's letting all the pollen in, but also all the heat's coming in as well.
And Thorin, when people are out and about and they're trying to get from A to B today, is it good? What sort of practice should they take? Should they take water with them? Should they take extra sun cream? What sort of provisions would be necessary if you're heading to the beach, for example?
Okay, well, I think places like the Tube are not the place to be if you can avoid places like that. Even the trains, they're saying try and avoid using the trains unless you actually really need to. And I know that advice is increasing through the week. So if you're just out and about generally with the heat, I think really important that you take with you bottled water, especially if you're travelling in the car. You don't know what the situation is going to be. Pack that sunscreen as well. You can get spray bottles for water, which I think are really nice if you're just out and about. And in terms of hay fever, make sure you're carrying your antihistamines with you. People forget with hay fever that they need to start taking the antihistamine tablets before all their symptoms kick in. That's something that they really forget. So, and then my last big piece of advice for everyone when it comes to taking your medication is, remember, it can degrade in the heat. So make sure you're not storing your medication in bathroom cupboards, or if you're going out and about, don't leave it in the car.
All right, great advice, Thorin Govend. Always good to see you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the sunshine. Right, if you were travelling to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M77 southbound is closed between Junction 2 at Cowglen and Junction 3 at Darnley due to overnight maintenance. Drivers on the M25 clockwise face 10-minute delays, exiting at Junction 14 for Heathrow Terminal 5 near Slough. In Greater London, the M4 spur southbound between Junction 4 and Junction 4A is experiencing similar 10-minute delays, with normal traffic expected to resume by 6:25 this morning. And on the trains, major disruption continues for East Midlands Railway and Thameslink services between London St Pancras International and Bedford due to hot weather impacting journeys. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Welcome back. Just coming up to 6:30. Let's speak now to Cabinet Office Minister Nick Thomas-Symonds, who joins us now. Very good to see you, Mr. Thomas-Symonds. Thank you for waiting on the line there for us.
Good morning.
Just need to talk about yesterday, don't we? It's hard to believe, isn't it? I'm sure you feel exactly the same way. You had the landslide victory less than 2 years ago, that massive majority of 174 seats, and now Sir Keir Starmer has become the shortest-serving Labour Prime Minister in history. What went wrong?
Well, look, first of all, it's good to join you as always, but I thought yesterday the Prime Minister was putting the country first. As he said in the speech that he gave yesterday just outside number 10, the question that Labour MPs, the Parliamentary Labour Party, is asking is, who is now best placed to take us into the next general election, the second half of this Parliament? He accepted what members of Parliament were saying, as he said with good grace. He was definitely the man, the Prime Minister, to lead us to victory. He took a party in 2019 that had suffered its worst electoral defeat since 1935, led us to a landslide victory. He's obviously led the country in the 2 years since, and has, and I think will have significant achievements to his name, not just things in domestic politics like renters' rights, employment rights, keeping the economy, putting the economy on a stable footing, investing in things like the NHS. And I've seen in my work the Prime Minister putting Britain back on the international stage. But yesterday was important. The Prime Minister does not want to be in a situation where there is chaos. What the Prime Minister wanted to do was to make sure we now have an orderly transition to a new Prime Minister, and that's what we will do.
Minister, there's lots of talk now about a general election, particularly as it looks increasingly likely that Andy Burnham is going to be crowned as not just Labour leader but also Prime Minister inevitably. He's only won a mandate from 0.03% of the population, but unusually he'll be if he is crowned as Prime Minister, he'll also have the weakest mandate of any Prime Minister in modern British history, as he wasn't even standing under your manifesto. You've called for a general election many times before when the Tories changed party leaders. Will you stand by your word and call for a general election when you change leader in your own party?
Well, I'd be surprised if the opposition wasn't always calling for a general election. I mean, I hope I was calling for a general election a lot more often than that when I was in opposition. That's exactly what I'd expect the opposition to do. But we live in a parliamentary democracy. That means that the Prime Minister is always going to be the person who commands the confidence of MPs, commands the confidence of the House of Commons. And frankly, this method of changing Prime Minister has become quite common. I think it's not since, Edward Heath was the last Prime Minister back in the early 1970s who both became Prime Minister at an election and left office at an election. So this has become quite a regular way. So I don't think there's an issue of legitimacy at all in the way that you say. And I think what is important now is that we are getting on with that job of delivery as a government.
Would you be satisfied then with the coronation of Andy Burnham as Labour leader and Prime Minister, or would you like to see a contest, even if that's just so that his policies can be heard on a national platform?
Well, first and foremost, I will be backing Andy Burnham. I think we need somebody who has a track record of delivery. That's exactly what he has shown as the Mayor of Greater Manchester. But secondly, in relation to Andy Burnham, there is a question as to who can take on and beat reform at the next general election, and he has just shown comprehensively how to do that in Makerfield. Now, with regard to this issue of a contest and a coronation, look, it's not an unreasonable ambition to want to be the leader of the Labour Party. I know that lots of colleagues will be thinking, these are heady days, will be thinking very, very carefully about what they want to do and weighing up the advantages and disadvantages. But for me, it is about a stable, orderly and swift transition. So that is what I am in favour of, and backing Andy Burnham to take over and to build upon the work of the last 2 years.
Minister, I appreciate what you're saying when you talk about calling for a general election and calling for a contest, and I understand that this is politics, but the British public don't see it that way, do they? They see this as the same old politics that has basically made them lose faith in our system. They are fed up with the changing leader, the changing Prime Minister in our country. It's making the country look like a joke. Your party came in promising to end the chaos of the last one. You've been embroiled in as much chaos as the last Conservative government in their failing years. And I think now the question is, if you're going to change leader again and you're going to rip up your mandate from the people, and Andy Burnham, as he signalled throughout his campaign, is going to change the direction of the Labour Party in office, surely, with such a weak mandate, you're going to need to ask the people's permission to do that. And do you think that the British public will not forgive you if you don't, as they didn't forgive the Conservative Party?
Well, when I was knocking doors back in May, what I was getting was a real sense of urgency about the speed of change and wanting to deliver that change in people's lives more quickly. I went to Makerfield on more than one occasion and was getting that same message on the doorstep in Makerfield from working class people across the constituency who were talking about things like the pressures they feel on whether it's the weekly shop, on paying their bills every month. That is the kind of question that was coming up to me on the doorstep. And when we've had, frankly, so many changes of Prime Minister in this way, I don't think that's unusual in British politics at all. But what I do think we should be taking from the electorate is a real urgency to get on and continue with that work of delivery. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And I reject the comparison with the Conservatives, because there was an alternative for the Prime Minister yesterday. We could have ended up in the situation Boris Johnson did, clinging on by his fingernails in number 10, seeing his government collapsing around him with dozens of resignations. One day when there were 3 education secretaries, we have not done that. The Prime Minister has put the country first and not done that. And that's what gives us the opportunity now, with just over 3 years left of this Parliament, to deliver on the mandate people have given us for change.
OK, Nick Thomas-Symonds, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Good to see you on GB News Breakfast. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, fascinating, isn't it? I do believe the British public are going to look at this, what's going on here. Look at the pictures of Andy Burnham in Westminster Hall, the front page of the Telegraph here.
This will make many people uneasy, won't it?
It will, because it looks like a king has arrived.
A messiah.
A messiah has arrived in Westminster, a man only elected by 0.03% of the population, who stood on an anti-Starmer, anti-Labour government mandate, now going to be basically flown into office.
Parachuted in, yeah.
It's not going to look good, at least with Rishi Sunak. He was a cabinet minister. Even Liz Truss, even Theresa May, even Boris Johnson had all served and won a mandate under those general election conditions.
But he's untested on a national level, isn't he? And if there's not a contest, we don't actually know what his policy is. How's he going to deal with President Trump? How's he going to fund defence? There are so many questions left for Andy Burnham that we just don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
And this is a man who could be Prime Minister in 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, I think he's going to...
He's got 3.5 weeks to get his policy and a team together.
A mandate, yeah, and also, I think he's going to need a mandate. I think the people are going to demand it. I really do.
Anyway, do stay with us. Still to come, Paul Coit just got all of your sports.
He's not the messiah, he's just a very naughty boy. I think that was yesterday. And we'll talk about boys. All the big boys scored in the World Cup Golden Boot race yesterday. So our own big boy, Harry Kane, needs to bag a few against Ghana tonight. More on the way shortly.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to
stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Yes, still to come. Lots of BBC. Well, there's obviously lots going on, isn't there? Football-wise today.
Yeah, look. Well, England
feeling?
are playing tonight.
Yeah,
I'm feeling good. We're going to smash it.
I think I'm feeling quite positive about this. Although I'm worried now because we had such a good game at the start.
Hello, I'm here, by the way. By the way, just in case you're interested, I'm over here. Yes. Yeah, have your little sports discussion, won't you, Alex? I'll just sit here and watch.
We're feeling good about
crying out loud, man.
Sorry.
Goodness sake.
I'm a bit delirious.
Yes, anyway, go on then.
I was just saying to Paul over here, Ellie. I was saying to Paul over there.
We're all in this together, yes.
I felt like that we had such a great game start of the World Cup. Yep. That now I feel like my expectations have been really built up. I know it's Ghana.
It's fine. No, it's fine. You'll be OK.
Yeah.
It is important because it's the second game. Historically, it's another one where you think, oh, they have a good start and then it drops off. No. Momentum. We need to keep the momentum going. So it's Ghana tonight. It's in Boston, 9 p.m. and it's really, I'm talking about this golden boot thing as well, because that's what I just mentioned. Because all these big stars seem to be scoring loads of goals. Lionel Messi yesterday, who's just now has the record for the most World Cup goals than anybody, he scored twice, again, as they beat Austria 3-0, 2-0, I mean. Kylian Mbappe in France, the Frenchman, he scored 2 as well. So they beat Iraq 3-0. Erling Haaland scored 2 more as they beat Senegal. So that puts him on 4 goals. So it's 4 for Haaland, it's 4 from Mbappe, it's 5 for Lionel Messi, and Harry Kane is on 2.
Yeah.
So I wonder, I mean, they're always going to say, this is what you always get with footballers, and you'll say, yeah, if you asked him and say, you know, what do you think, you want to go for the Golden Boot? He will just say, no, it's all about the win, it's all about the team. No. Goal scorers want to score goals, and he's going to want to get a load tonight. So this is not going to be, let's just tap it around, win 1-0. They're going to go out and they're going to entertain us tonight. I'm really certain about that.
Can I push you for a prediction?
You can.
Go on.
7-0. No, 3. I'm going to go 3. I'm going to go 3-0 tonight.
Wow.
And Harry Kane will score 2 of those.
Wow.
I really do. I really believe that. And I think the most important thing is that it does build. So, I mean, it's a high bar, beating Croatia 4-2. So then the next one so we've got Ghana, we can build from that, and then we've got Panama, and then we start heading into these knockouts. And if we win tonight, then we're straight through to the last 32 anyway.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So I'm very confident, and we'll have loads of great guests tomorrow.
Yeah.
Talk about the win. I don't want to overdo it.
What to manifest it. And what have we got next hour? You've got a great guest.
Clive Allen's going to be with us. Played for England, of course, so he's going to be with us to discuss and just make us feel. And I know he's always very confident.
And he's a lovely man.
He is a lovely man, so he's going to join us. He's actually in Madrid at the moment. So he'll be
very nice too.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks, Paul.
Probably hotter here, though, let's be honest.
I think it probably is.
Probably is. We can ask him that as well.
Yeah. Is it cool over there?
Yeah. We'll ask him. Thanks, Quitty.
It's a pleasure.
Please stay with us still to come. More coverage live from Down Street as Andy Burnham looks closer than ever to becoming PM.
Well, Labour are hoping that a popular mayor from Manchester can bring that magic, perhaps, down south. But can he really? And does he have a mandate, given he was only elected by 25,000 people in Makerfield?
Indeed, those are the big questions. But before that, the BBC is using the World Cup to remind football fans to pay their licence fees. God, they're shameless, aren't they? Find out how with Madeleine Grant and Festus Akinbisoye in their newspaper roundup with us. It's
Yes,
fun.
but before any of that, here's the forecast across Europe.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Became the norm. Friends just became family, and you know, I just kind of found my love in the streets, really.
And then did that then lead to stuff with knives?
Yeah, so I was stabbed by 15, and then my best friend passed away in my arms from a stab to the heart. So I'd already had quite a experience with knife crime at that point.
I think in life it's important to give people a second chance, and especially when you come back and you were using this to such a positive thing, and you know your kits already, as you say, have saved several lives, and hopefully it's not even about the saving of lives in that sense, is it? It's if you can prevent people from getting in the situation you were in the first place.
This is where education's important.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Crew of injured and wounded veterans and serving personnel have completed a historic sailing expedition around the UK, carrying the Invictus Games flag.
Yes, it's called the Full Circle Sailing Expedition, and it embarked on a momentous 12-week journey, having sailed 2,000 miles around the UK to complete the whole full circle.
Well, it supported more than 500 injured veterans, and the charity is raising £300,000 to fund their mission to support veterans right across the nation.
Everybody on that boat has a part to play. It's everybody gets involved in safely moving that boat from A to B, and like you said, it's that camaraderie and being a part of a team, and you could say to some extent having that mission.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
come here? Is it a love for the royal family, for the kind of the British pageantry? What is it?
You know what? Both of those things. I do have a love for the British royal family. I have been royal watching since I was in the 5th grade. That was a long time ago. I watched Indian style when Lady Di married then Prince Charles, and now he's the king. And I mean, I just love the parade troops, all of that. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely amazing.
Which royals do you think you're most looking forward to seeing as that procession comes down the mall a little bit later?
I want to see the king. I love seeing the king and the queen because I'm of that era, actually. The Prince Charles, now King Charles era. So I always look forward to seeing the king, but of course the Prince and Princess of Wales.
Well, I think you're going to have a very easy job spotting you in the crowd. That
GB News, the People's Channel.
We are going through the papers this morning in the company of Madeline Grant and Festus Akinbasuye. Really good to see you both this morning. One story in town, Madeline. Let's talk about the Telegraph, shall we? My party is asking whether I'm best to lead us into an election. I have now heard their answer. We are talking about a tearful Sir Keir Starmer resigning.
Yes, and they've run a picture of Keir Starmer in his resignation speech yesterday, but also accompanying the, I think, quite unseemly haste with which the Labour MPs are now lining up behind Andy Burnham.
Yes.
Hundreds and hundreds of them all laid out in Westminster Hall, probably shoving each other to get to the front and be near his right elbow as possible. And it's just a great reminder of the complete brutality of politics. The way that you can go from...
But this front page here on the Telegraph, this picture yesterday, I couldn't believe it.
Yes.
Not only is it so undignified, the man that sent them all to Parliament has just resigned. Andy Burnham has marched in there without a single vote being cast for him by those Labour MPs, basically for them to greet him like a conqueror.
If I was Andy Burnham, I would be really watching my back. But now it's got evidence because it's got them all on selfie.
Yeah.
Right? Because those same people in a couple of months or years' time will be the ones calling for his resignation as well. And it will be interesting to see how many of those faces will stay behind him smiling.
You don't think it's going to last?
Oh, I can't see how it's going to last because the basics and the fundamentals are still there. Regardless of who Labour bring in, they have to deal with the welfare budget. They've got to deal with investment. They've got to deal with taxation. They've got to deal with borrowing. No plan yet as to how it's going to deal with that. Who knows?
Shameless.
I also think it's just quite unseemly, and one of the big criticisms that people rightly have about Westminster politics is that it's all a bit of a game to the people involved. It's all like, Westminster journalists have something to do with this too. Everything is like a psychodrama and chaos, and people are just a bit fed up with that. And then part of Burnham's big selling point is that he's not of Westminster. He's not like other politicians, and here he is doing a kind of big trivial selfie with 200 of his newly nearest and dearest friends.
But that's going to end pretty soon, isn't it? That's all going to come crashing down. You can't stay anti-Westminster within the heart of Westminster.
No, you can't. And you have to start making tough decisions that are inherently going to annoy a larger group of people. That's what leadership is in this day and age. And I think that Keir Starmer, although he made some very bad decisions, I don't think you can say that Keir Starmer had this same desperate desire to be liked, the people-pleasing element that Andy Burnham has already exhibited during his Makerfield campaign with the number of U-turns that have taken place even over the last few weeks.
At least 5. Yeah, at least 5. And this is the thing, 5 U-turns on policies that he'd long held positions, he'd made very clear. So, again, you could have said perhaps before we might know what he stands for, but we don't know. We don't know what Andy Burnham stands for. There's no manifesto. There's no agenda. He's made some... In his speeches, he's echoing Keir Starmer in them. And so you listen to what he's saying. We need change, we need hope. And these are all just fancy words that mean absolutely nothing until we actually hear what he's going to do, who's going to be in his cabinet, because it's probably going to be continuity cabinet to a large extent.
But what he doesn't know either is what the fiscal rules are. Yeah. Because he was asked recently, what are the fiscal rules that he says he's going to stick to? He doesn't know what they are. I mean, this man, in my opinion, based on what he said so far, is going to be an absolute disaster for the economy. If you live in London, if he comes through with this land value tax, it's going to be an absolute disaster.
Oh, my goodness.
And quite frankly, this guy, if you run a business, if you are a worker, in my opinion, I think he's going to be quite a disaster for us. But we shall see. But he's not even the Prime Minister yet. So why are we talking about this?
Can I ask you this, Madeline? There's calls now, of course, for a general election, right? He's not going to pull the trigger immediately, is he? Let's be honest. He's not going to pull the trigger. But In the meantime, he's going to have to lay out a manifesto that hasn't been voted on and start delivering on that manifesto because he's promised to be the change candidate.
And he's got to do it in a shorter time frame than he would have liked, because Keir Starmer's one tiny little act of vengeance against all of this has been to say, actually, you know what, you don't want me, I'm not going to stick around to September just because it would help you. I'm out of here in possibly 3 weeks if there's no leadership contest. So you could find Andy Burnham is suddenly catapulted into number 10 Downing Street in a matter of, 3 weeks or something. It's pretty bonkers. I mean, we've just had a Prime Minister who seemed to have infinity time to prepare and managed to screw it up and not do that. What hope is there for his successor?
And Sir Keir Starmer's been accused of being the ultimate man without a plan. And here we are.
With the ultimate
Andy
man
Burnham,
without a plan.
Without a plan. He's got 3 weeks to come up with one.
Yeah,
and the team.
But he's got a great bomber jacket.
Oh my goodness.
Can't make it up.
You can't make it up, can you? Madeline Festus, thank you very much. We'll see you again in about 45 minutes' time.
All right, let's get updates on the all-important weather.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Widespread sunny skies today, the odd shower or thunderstorm, but otherwise it's just increasingly hot across the United Kingdom, with extreme heat expected in some places. Temperatures rising quickly once any showers and thunderstorms clear from the east of England. 1 or 2 showers could pop up across northern England and more especially the north and northwest of Scotland. Patchy cloud in northern areas, unbroken sunshine elsewhere, and temperatures widely across the UK looking at the mid to high 20s or low 30s, but across the heart of England into parts of Wales, temperatures into the mid-30s, 37 Celsius, the most likely maximum temperature. That would beat June's temperature record set in 1976. But it's going to get even hotter over the next few days. It's also going to stay very warm overnight, and you can see into the evening still temperatures in the mid-20s across a large part of Scotland, into Northern Ireland as well. Some patchy cloud here, blue skies continuing for many parts of England and Wales. 6 p.m. temperatures, 34, 35 Celsius for the likes of Oxford and London, for example. Those temperatures staying elevated overnight, especially around some western and southwestern coastal parts, with high humidity expected through the day and night of the next few days. We can expect a very oppressive feel to things, buildings and people struggling to cool down. So we start off Wednesday with temperatures already in the low to mid-20s. And those temperatures are going to rise very quickly through the morning. Wednesday, one of the hottest days of the week and one of the hottest days ever recorded in the UK. Patchy cloud and some showers in the north of Scotland, hot sunshine elsewhere, temperatures peaking at 39 Celsius, if not a little higher in places.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A83, both directions are restricted at Locknell Street in Loch Gilphead due to emergency roadworks. In Surrey, the M23 southbound is affected by a broken down vehicle between Junction 8 and Junction 9, resulting in one of 4 lanes closed. Normal traffic conditions are expected between 7 this morning and 7:15 this morning, with the issue likely to clear by 7:07. And on the trains, major disruption continues on East Midlands Railway and Thameslink services between London St Pancras International and Bedford, with hot weather affecting journeys. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Like some kind of
morning.
maiden
So-called King of the North prepares for a coronation.
Andy Burnham is greeted by a sea of Labour backbenchers as he arrives in Westminster.
Well, what a 24 hours it has been, with less than a day passing since Sir Keir Starmer announced his resignation.
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
A key member of Keir Starmer's government, Nick Thomas-Symonds, has given Burnham his seal of approval.
For me, it is about a stable, orderly and swift transition. So that is what I am in favour of, and backing Andy Burnham to take over and to build upon the work of the last 2 years.
He also says he isn't surprised that the opposition is calling for a general election.
I'd be surprised if the opposition wasn't always calling for a general election. I mean, I hope I was calling for a general election a lot more often than that when I was in opposition.
And as the world reacts to the news, should the former Greater Manchester Mayor call an election as his first order of business?
Well, Sir Keir Starmer still in Downing Street, but probably only for a few weeks. Andy Burnham given a rapturous response by Labour MPs arriving here yesterday. But will that popularity last?
Well, US President Donald Trump shares his views on the news.
Because I think he's a lovely man, but I said, you're really messing up energy. You have windmills all over the place. In the meantime, you have the North Sea oil, and they won't let anybody drill.
And it is a decade today since the great British public voted for Brexit, forever changing the course of our history.
And I will go to Parliament and propose that the British people decide our future in Europe through an in-out referendum on Thursday, the 23rd of June.
June the 23rd go down in our history as our Independence Day.
Britain bakes. The nation prepares for record-breaking temperatures after the Met Office issued a rare red extreme heat warning.
It's already very warm out there this morning, and temperatures will rise quickly over the next few hours, peaking at 37 Celsius. But Wednesday and Thursday could be even hotter than that. Full details in the forecast coming up soon.
In sport, England versus Ghana tonight. A win sees us through to the round of 32. Also, the World Cup Golden Boot race. The Golden Boot race hots up as Messi scores 2, Mbappe scores 2 and Haaland gets a hat-trick. It's the heat. And the 2023 Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova is banned for 4 years. Thank you.
It is roasting though, you're right.
It is, yeah. We can't get the heat off our mind. It's just gone 7 o'clock. Good morning, I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, let's get straight into the politics, shall we, this morning. I'm delighted to say we're joined now by leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey. Very good morning to see you. Very good morning to you, Sir Ed. Good to see you on the programme. Let's talk about the events of yesterday, shall we? And we'll start with Sir Keir Starmer. Was he right to go? Was he right to resign?
Yeah, clearly Labour MPs had forced him out, and there's a bit of civil war going on. But I think the viewing public are fed up with this merry-go-round of prime ministers, aren't they? You know, 7 prime ministers in 10 years, 5 Conservatives, now 2 Labour. No wonder nothing works anymore. If we're going to fix our system, fix our NHS, get our economy growing again, sort out our defence, you know, I think we're going to have to fix our political system. I think it's broken, and I think 7 prime ministers in 10 years is the proof of that.
It certainly would. Many people would agree with you there, Ed. Do you think we should be having a general election now? Do you think if Andy Burnham, who looks like he's going to be crowned perhaps Prime Minister with one of the weakest mandates of a modern British Prime Minister, if it does happen, do you think he should go to the general public to retrieve that mandate?
Well, I think we want to see change, don't we? We want real change, as I've been describing. And I think he's got a very small window to deliver on that change. I think people want to see that first. If he doesn't, I think the calls for a general election will increase. I mean, the Conservatives are in a difficult position, aren't they? Because they had that chaos, didn't they? That psychodrama of so many Conservative prime ministers and really ruining our country. And they never allowed a general election. So I'm afraid that they don't really have a leg to stand on this. If we don't see the change, the sorts of profound change that we've argued for, whether it's in our NHS, our relationship with Europe, for investment in defence, then I think people will get pretty angry and frustrated and say, yeah, we need a vote.
So, Sir Ed, am I right in saying you're not immediately calling for a general election if an Andy Burnham is Prime Minister, is crowned as Labour Party leader? You're not calling for an immediate election in that scenario? Because the only reason I say that is that you have done before when Rishi Sunak was crowned Prime Minister, when others were crowned Prime Minister. Do you think that consistency should take place if we change party leader?
Well, sometimes somebody didn't. There wasn't a general election, was there? But the key, if you talk to people, I've been listening to people on programmes like yours, and they just want change. They want the government to get on with it. So much is broken in our country. We desperately need the Defence Investment Plan to be published ahead of NATO summit coming up in a week or two's time. We need to engage with our European colleagues. You know, with the 10th anniversary of Brexit, and it's really clear to everyone it's been a failed experiment. The Conservative Brexit has been a failure. The only one who's benefited from is Nigel Farage with his £5 million reward. The rest of us have been hit by higher bills and higher taxes. And what Liberal Democrats are saying is, look, come on, let's face the reality. It has failed. We've lost £90 billion in taxes. And what I'd say to Mr Burnham, if he does become Prime Minister, Labour's red lines on getting a closer trading relationship with Europe, they've got to go. If we want to grow our economy, if we want to fix our public finances, if we want to end the cost of living crisis, we need a plan, and that has to start with a closer trading relationship with Europe, because Brexit has cost us so heavily.
Well, we will get on to Brexit in a minute, but for now, I just want to ask you about Andy Burnham. Would you be comfortable with a coronation? Does Andy Burnham have a mandate to lead the country as Prime Minister, or would you like to see a leadership contest?
Well, that's going to be up to Labour MPs. I'd have a dog in that game particularly.
Well, are you comfortable with the idea of a coronation then?
It isn't about vote. Well, it's up to, it's not. I can't be comfortable. Not. I mean, I'm not comfortable with the Labour government's record. Let's be clear. I think it's been really disappointing. They said they were going to change the system. They were going to turn the page from the chaos of the Conservatives, the failed economy of the Conservatives, and they've not done that, have they? It's like continuity Sunak, continuity Conservatives with this Labour government so far. But if there is change, and you know, let's see if he does deliver change. He sometimes says he does. Let's see the colour of money. He's been a flip-flopper most of his time, and you know, trying to work out what Andy Burnham thinks is like nailing jelly to a wall, frankly. But let's see. You know, I'm someone who likes to give people a chance. I want to see that profound change. I want to change our political system. It's clearly broken. I think the evidence is there for all to see. Now, that's partly due to the failed Brexit supported by Farage and the Conservatives, but it's also our broken political system. That has to be reformed. We want to give people more power, you know. We want to make sure that their votes count and aren't wasted, and so they aren't ignored by people in power. We're fed up of power being too few hands centrally, not in our local communities up and down the country. And so we've argued that for a long time. We'll see if Burnham can deliver.
Let's talk about Brexit, shall we, Sir Ed? A topic I know you're passionate about. Why do you think the European Commission would do a better job of running our country than perhaps you as Prime Minister would be?
Well, they wouldn't run our country. That's a complete myth. They never did. As a minister, I would go to European councils and we'd boss them. We'd tell the Commission what to do. It's only lazy politicians, a lot of them Conservatives and Labour, frankly, who fail to boss Europe. Now, we're really influential in it. And what we're arguing for is a new deal with Europe, totally new deal. We call it a growth and defence partnership. We know our economy is in a mess. It needs to grow. We know we need to invest in our defence and make it secure with all the threats we face, because Donald Trump is no longer a reliable ally, and we have the threat from Putin. I know Mr. Farage likes Putin. Well, some of us don't. We see him as a threat to our country. And so a new deal with Europe on growth and defence, a growth and defence partnership, is the way forward. And I think, you know, after these lost decade where people's bills have gone up, taxes have gone up, and I'm afraid the NHS didn't get any of the money it was promised, I think it's now time to reassess, and that's what we're arguing for.
Do you think you'd ever accept the result of a democratic vote? I mean, you've spent the last 10 years arguing that it was the wrong result. Do you think you'll ever reach a stage where you will accept the result and realise that we're in a new stage of the argument?
Ellie, you didn't read our manifesto, I'm afraid. We accepted it in the manifesto, and actually our new growth and defence partnership is within the terms of the vote. So I'm afraid that you're not describing our position fairly, I'm afraid. You know, many of the people who argued for leave actually said we could still be in the single market, said we could have a customs union. They're on the record. You can see the TV footage. That's not what happened. And I think we've damaged our country as a result. And when you talk to people, they are really worried about defending our country. They're really fed up that bills keep going up, that taxes keep going up, the cost of living still gets worse and worse, and the public finances are in such a mess. Well, why? Well, Brexit as the main cause of that. It's cost the taxpayer £90 billion a year. So if you want to sort out our finances, if you want to have room to invest in our army, invest in our NHS, to cut taxes, you've got to change that relationship with Europe. And now it's plain as a pikestaff now, and I think most people can see that.
Humour me for one final question. Let's take the hypothetical approach that Andy Burnham does have a general election, and we assume that they're going to lose some seats. Would you ever consider a cosy coalition, perhaps with the Labour Party, if they need your help?
That's a good hypothetical question. I'll give you some credit for that, Alex. But, you know, the truth is my job as leader of the Liberal Democrats is to put forward our ideas, get as many seats as we possibly can. You know, the last election, if I'd come on your programme and said a few weeks before polling day we'd get 72 Liberal Democrat MPs, our best result for over 100 years, I think you've had a bit of a laugh at me. But we did do that, didn't we? And we've had 8 years of net gains in local elections. We could soon be the second party in local government. And I'm preparing for the next election to win for Liberal Democrats and our values. And I think the more people hear about them, that we want to fix our broken political system, end this merry-go-round of prime ministers, make sure we sort out care. You know, I speak as someone who's been a carer most of life. I look after my disabled son. I looked after my mum when she was dying. I know about care. I know if you fix that, you can fix our NHS. We've got ideas of real change, right? Real change with practical plans. And the more people hear about those, I think the more people will switch to us.
Sir Ed, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us on GB News Breakfast.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
All right, shall we go and speak to GB News chief political correspondent Catherine Forster live outside Downing Street for us? Catherine, what's the latest there? We believe the Cabinet should be arriving in the next few hours.
Yes, there will be a cabinet meeting here as usual. The message that they will be trying to send is we're getting on with business as usual, but of course nothing is normal here at the moment, is it? Because we have a Prime Minister here in office, not really in power. The power seems to have already shifted to Andy Burnham, and the consequences of that are already being felt. This instability, that EU reset that we were supposed to be getting on the 22nd of July, looks like it's going to be postponed, because what's the point? What's the point? Andy Burnham will probably have been Prime Minister for just a few days at that point. Also, the Defence Investment Plan, we were told categorically, we should have had it last autumn, that it would be published before the NATO summit in Turkey at the beginning of July. Well, the Prime Minister will still be in office then, but it's sounding very much like that is going to be put on hold too, because what will Andy Burnham think of it? We don't know. We don't know what Andy Burnham thinks really about many, many things. Ed Davey there said trying to find out what Andy Burnham thinks is like nailing jelly to a wall. And even his own team told me last week in Makerfield that they favoured quite a long handover, perhaps by the beginning of September. Well, unless there is a contest, that is unlikely to happen. Now, on that note, there are Labour MPs, despite the fact that they looked absolutely over the moon and he was given a rapturous reception, they are Labour MPs who are worried about Andy Burnham. First, the fact that where's the mandate? He's coming in on 25,000 votes. Also, the fact that he's really untested, and they think that it's a bad idea to have a coronation. They want a contest. So quite a few of them encouraging Darren Jones, the Prime Minister's Chief Secretary, to stand. Perhaps Al Khan's, who resigned as Defence Minister recently. Not clear if either of them could get those 81 nominations. But look, here we go again. We are heading for our fifth Prime Minister in just 4 years. And as Ed Davey just said, he thinks the public are fed up of this merry-go-round of PMs. No wonder nothing works.
Forster there for us in Downing Street. Thank you very much. Deputy Editor at Spiked Online, Fraser Myers, joins us again in the studio. What did you make of what Sir Ed had to say this morning?
Well, I think he was absolutely right about Andy Burnham, about working out what he thinks being like nailing jelly to a wall. Andy Burnham has done as many U-turns as Keir Starmer, probably just in the past few weeks, you know, running up to the Makerfield by-election and beyond, than Keir Starmer has in the past 2 years. So you can see, in that sense, it's going to be continuity purely by the amount of flip-flopping. I disagree profoundly, though, with what Ed Davey said about Brexit. You know, 10 years on from Brexit, I think we need to look at it as... Remember what the slogan was. It was take back control. Brexit fundamentally was about democracy. It was about wresting lawmaking and decision-making power from unelected commissioners in the European Union and giving them back to Parliament and, by extension, therefore, the British public. And so I don't believe that there's anyone in the European Commission who should have the right to dictate what laws people in the UK follow. I think that should apply to other Europeans as well. And anyone who believes that Brexit has been a disaster, I'd invite them to look at what's happening in Europe right now. If you look at France, the economic situation, the level of debt is just as perilous as it is in the UK, if not worse. The political deadlock is just as bad. They've had 5 prime ministers in 2 years. So there's a huge turnover of personnel over there. If you look at Germany, which when we left the EU was head and shoulders above the other European countries in terms of growth. It's been in recession since 2019. All kinds of EU laws have been added since we left. Net zero is now an EU-wide phenomenon, sending businesses to the wall. Farming regulations have sent huge amounts of farmers and tractors out in protest. I just don't buy this idea that over there are the sunny uplands, that joining that, there just really isn't any growth going on over there. It's really slow, having many of the same intractable problems that we're having. where is the benefit from rejoining that? I can't see it.
And also, I was asking this question about coalition because it does feel like a general election is brewing in one way or another. And let's face it, it's unlikely Labour will get such a stonking majority. Again, it's always plausible, and they're going to need to look for partners.
That's absolutely right, and it could be a it could be a cosy stitch up with the Lib Dems, or even some sort of Frankenstein coalition involving perhaps the Green Party, perhaps the Scottish National Party, perhaps some other smaller parties, maybe even Welsh nationalists. In order to stay in power, because it is often the case that in terms of vote share, many of the so-called progressive parties actually come out on top when combined versus the parties of the right. So that's entirely a possibility, and I think it was worth asking him. Of course he's going to jump into a coalition with the Labour Party. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. Why would he miss the chance to be in government? He'd jump in that with both feet, I think.
And just finally, prediction from you. Do you think we're going to see an Andy Burnham coronation, or do you think there should be a contest?
I think it would probably be good to have a contest because, as has been said many times, we don't really know what Andy Burnham thinks. We don't really know what his plan is for the country. I think it would be healthy for democracy for there to be a contest. I think it would be healthy to have a general election, but I think a coronation is the way things are going. If you look at some of the people who have put their heads above the parapet to say that they want to challenge for the leadership, someone like Al Cairns or Darren Jones, I really don't think they have a hope in hell. I mean, it's been reported that dozens of people are standing behind Darren Jones, which is not quite the ringing endorsement that you'd need.
Well, they'd need 81, wouldn't they?
Exactly.
Right,
you need that, even just to stand as leader. But
And how many are in this selfie?
It looks like
At
the entire
least
party.
200.
It looks like the entire party's behind him, frankly, doesn't it? That's the reality.
It would be difficult to get another 81 behind somebody else.
And that was the one
queuing up for a job there.
It's
vying for
job centre.
for position. Anyway, thank you, Fraser. Always good to see you. Thank you.
All right, should we... well, given the weather is, I think Keir Starmer was that famous meme of him playing the weather machine. Because every time something happens with Keir Starmer, the weather goes crazy, doesn't it? Yeah. Remember last time with the Madison fires, people thought he was going to resign. The weather was hailing, then snowing, then sunny.
Oh,
and
yes,
now it's
true.
almost 40 degrees again. Someone's playing the weather machine.
Maybe he is, yeah. Well,
Nathan McGiven.
He's the weatherman.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Widespread sunny skies today, the odd shower or thunderstorm, but otherwise it's just increasingly hot across the United Kingdom with extreme heat expected in some places. Temperatures rising quickly once any showers and thunderstorms clear from the east of England. 1 or 2 showers could pop up across northern England and more especially the north and northwest of Scotland. Patchy cloud in northern areas, unbroken sunshine elsewhere, and temperatures widely across the UK looking at the mid to high 20s or low 30s, but across the heart of England into parts of Wales, temperatures into the mid-30s, 37 Celsius, the most likely maximum temperature. That would beat June's temperature record set in 1976. But it's going to get even hotter over the next few days. It's also going to stay very warm overnight, and you can see into the evening still temperatures in the mid-20s across a large part of Scotland, into Northern Ireland as well. Some patchy cloud here, blue skies continuing for many parts of England and Wales. 6 p.m. temperatures, 34, 35 Celsius for the likes of Oxford and London, for example. Those temperatures staying elevated overnight, especially around some western and southwestern coastal parts, with high humidity expected through the day and night of the next few days. We can expect a very oppressive feel to things, buildings and people struggling to cool down. So we start off Wednesday with temperatures already in the low to mid-20s. And those temperatures are going to rise very quickly through the morning. Wednesday, one of the hottest days of the week and one of the hottest days ever recorded in the UK. Patchy cloud and some showers in the north of Scotland, hot sunshine elsewhere, temperatures peaking at 39 Celsius, if not a little higher in places.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
All right, still to come.
Thunderstorms plagued the night skies last night. Did it wake you up? Let us know if it did.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking stuff, wasn't it? Yeah, it really was.
The lightning was crazy.
was insane.
And there was flooding in London as well with the amount of rain that was coming down.
Yeah. Well, first, we're going to be debating this. Should there be a general election? We're also going to hear from Reform leader Nigel Farage later in the programme. Don't miss it. That's after 8 a.m.
This is GB News Breakfast with Ellie and Alex.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Brave.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things up the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
So we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of a matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 25 minutes past 7. Now, this is a question that has gained real traction in the last 24 hours. Should Sir Keir Starmer's replacement, probably Andy Burnham, call a general election?
It's looking increasingly likely that Andy Burnham, the former Greater Mayor of Manchester, of course, will take up the mantle and become our next Prime Minister.
There is one issue, though. He hasn't been tried and tested by the nation. No one voted for him in the 2024 election because he wasn't standing. And now he could become Prime Minister in just 3 short weeks.
0.03% of the British public voted for him, and that's the Makerfield vote, of course, but that's not including all the people in Makerfield who didn't vote for him. 0.03%. It's not much of a mandate, but many people will argue it might be enough.
Well, should we have a general election? We're going to debate that now with Reform UK councillor Jamie McIver and former Labour MP Bill Rammell. Very good morning to you, gentlemen. Jamie, let's start with you. I think I know what you're going to say.
Well, good morning. I mean, of course there needs to be a general election, but I think these Labour MPs, I don't know what world they live in, but they certainly don't live in the real world, because the reality is The British people do not want Andy Burnham to be Prime Minister. They want Nigel Farage to be Prime Minister. Let's be very clear. This will make no difference to the Labour Party. Andy Burnham is a man that tried to put a clean air zone around Manchester and cost working people tenner to drive to work in Manchester. This is a man that would see us rejoin the EU, and of all the days to be having that conversation, this is a man that also thinks that females can be getting changed with males in changing rooms. This is a man that is absolutely clueless as to what the priorities are for the British people. And I heard that, by the way, loud and clear in Makerfield. The people of Makerfield were voting to get rid of Keir Starmer. But the people of Makerfield and the people of Britain do not want a Remainer Prime Minister. They want Nigel Farage to be their Prime Minister, and the local election results prove that.
Former Labour government minister Bill Ramall. Bill, obviously, I know what you think because you've been on my show on the weekends and we've been talking about this to death, haven't we? When we were speculating just 48 hours ago almost, whether the Prime Minister was going to resign or not. But I'll put it to you again, Bill. Do you think we need to have a general election if there is a crowning of Andy Burnham?
Well, as I said to you at the weekend, Alex, I think it will be better for Andy, the Labour Party and the country if there is a contest for the Labour leadership, because that will allow, and I think Andy would win in those circumstances. He'll become Prime Minister, but he would be able to define his prospectus, and I think that would be a good thing. But should there necessarily be a general election? No. Constitutionally, 7 times since the 1970s, there's been a change of Prime Minister mid-term, and there hasn't been a general election. We don't have a presidential system, and Andy, if and when he becomes Prime Minister, will govern on the basis of the Labour mandate from 2 years ago. However, and there's a lot of ifs here, if Andy becomes Prime Minister, and if, say, by the autumn, he's ahead in the opinion polls, and you know, the wheels are falling off the reform bandwagon, I think he may be tempted to go to the country to get a reinforced mandate.
Jamie?
Well, I think the reality is the British people want to see illegal migration dealt with. That is the priority on the doorstep, that and the cost of living. I heard that loud and clear too. And a Labour Party Prime Minister, no matter which one it is, and by the way, isn't it embarrassing that the Labour Party couldn't find someone within their own 400 cohort of parliamentarians? They had to go and outsource a Metro Mayor. Not every Labour parliamentary candidate can be a Metro Mayor, unfortunately, so they're going to find themselves in bother at the next general election anyway. A lot of these Labour MPs have betrayed the British people. They voted to get rid of Chagos. They voted to take away the winter fuel payment. But Andy Burnham, as Prime Minister, is a man that would like to hide illegal migrants in HMOs across the country. This is a man that doesn't believe in the safety of women and girls in this country. We know that because of his own policies. The people of Britain are very concerned about illegal immigration. It is getting worse and worse, despite what government figures Bill may wish to quote. The reality is the boats continue to come and illegal migrants continue to be hidden in our communities in HMOs, in places like Wigan and the North West, where they seem to dump them thinking no one will notice. The truth of the matter is the British people deserve a general election. This Labour government has been a disaster for Britain and anybody that loves this country. And the sooner Labour and socialism are shown the door of Parliament, the better, and replaced with a proper party that believes in this country, that has genuine patriotism, and is led by Nigel Farage, the only party leader that can be trusted to lead Britain.
Bill, can you give us a response in very, very brief 10-20 seconds for me, if you don't mind, please?
OK, it's all sounding a bit desperate and hollow from Jamie. Let's just take a stroll back a few days, and reform got absolutely pulverised in the Makerfield by-election. The wheels are coming off the bandwagon, illegal donations, a party that is split on the right. Reform is going nowhere.
OK, Bill, Jamie, we've got to leave it there. I'm afraid we're out of time with you both, but thank you so much for joining us on GB News Breakfast. Thank you. Good to see you both. Now, do stay with us still to come. Reform UK leader himself, Nigel Farage, is going to be here on Breakfast just after 8 o'clock, so don't miss that. We're going to be asking him, Christopher Hope is going to be asking him, if he thinks it's time for a general election.
But next, Paul, what have you got for us?
Well, 2 ex-footballers, one talking about Ghana, one talking about England, one to Madrid and one to New York. Work that out. We'll do that in just a second.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. 2 lanes are closed on the M25 between junctions 26 and 25 in Greater London due to a collision, with clearance expected between 8:30 and 8:45 this morning. The M4 eastbound has congestion affecting traffic from junction 26 Malpas to junction 24 Coldra. In Kent, the M20 eastbound has 1 lane closed between junction 11A and junction 12 after a collision, with normal conditions expected by 8:45. And on the trains, major disruption continues between London St Pancras International and Bedford on East Midlands Railway and Thameslink services. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
All right, it's time to go through the latest sport, and of course, it's the World Cup.
Big game tonight.
Big game.
Very big game tonight. England versus Ghana. So we're joined by, well, 2 great ex-players. One who's an African football expert that played for Cameroon, who's over in New York watching the World Cup, and another player who played for England, and it happens to be in Madrid. I hope that makes sense. Clive Allen and Sebastian Bassong. Gents, it's great to see you both.
Good morning.
Sebastian, firstly, thank you so much, because I know you're in New York at the moment. It's in the middle of the night, and you've been watching the World Cup. So what game did you go and see last night, then?
Yeah, I was covering the Senegal against Norway game. So it was a pretty good game, but yeah, it's pretty late at the moment. But for you, I can stay awake for you. No worries.
Bless you, I really appreciate it. So obviously, Senegal is a team that you know very well because you cover African football. But we're going to do this later. How is the row? You weren't involved in the Norwegian rowing at all, then?
Listen, I tried, but my body doesn't allow me. But it was quite impressive. The Norwegian rowing was quite an impressive movement within the stadium, and I was quite pleased with that movement, yeah.
Everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing this rowing thing. We'll do it in an hour later. But Clive, you're over in Madrid, so thanks so much for joining us as well. How impressed with England have you been so far? I mean, it's all about momentum, isn't it? It's got to build, it's got to get better, but it's a pretty high bar we're starting at, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a good start. I think it's always important to win that first game, the confidence gained by that. I think the team shaping up well, the importance of the squad, I think that's been emphasised for many of the countries, bringing on substitutes that are going to impact the game at important times. And I think we're really well placed. Obviously, another victory tonight would make sure we win the group, and then I think we will progress very confidently.
How good are Ghana, Seb?
I think they're not as good as England. England is the favourite, to be fair, and rightly so. But I think the Ghanaian team, they're having a bit of a momentum because they haven't been in a very high-level competition for quite a while. They've been missing the African Cup of Nations, so they kind of fearless. I think they enjoy being here, and that's what makes them a little bit of a threat. But obviously, they got nothing to lose, to be honest. So that's what makes them a little bit dangerous.
So you don't think there's going to be a situation, I mean, I don't, but where England may take it a little easy and think, you know, we've beaten Croatia, that was the really tough one, and we shouldn't have too much trouble with this. How do you think England are going to play it and what they should be, or how they should be against Ghana tonight?
Personally,
I think Thomas... Sorry, Seb, carry on.
No, go on, Clive.
You're both far too polite. Go on, Seb, you first.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think that Thomas Tuchel will just not allow that to happen. I think you see that in the way he's been fastidious in the way that he's planned everything, the way that the trainings, he won't allow anything to slacken off, and I think that's vitally important.
What about you, Seb? What do you think?
I really think I agree with Clive because even the way the squad selection done by Thomas Tuchel, I think says it all. The way he structured his team and the personnel, because people talk about the abilities, but I think he's been more focused on the human side of it to create a group with the cohesion. And I think with that being said, I can't see England take it anything lightly, and they're going to respect any opponent. But I think they're really sure about and strong about themselves. So therefore, the strength comes within the squad. So that's why it's going to be a very professional game, and they're going to play 110%.
I'm just looking at the African teams that are playing in the World Cup at the moment. Then, Seb, we've got South Africa, Morocco, Ivory Coast, Tunisia, Egypt, Cape Verde, of course, which everybody's excited about, and Senegal and Algeria and Congo and Ghana. Who's the best out of there? And it's going to happen at some point that an African nation's going to win the World Cup, don't you think?
Yeah, at some point it's gonna happen. But actually, I think a lot of them teams, they have nothing to fear, nothing to be scared about. Because honestly, the quality of the play, the quality of the infrastructure, the way they play, I think they're growing and growing.
Yeah.
The best team at the moment, for different reasons, you could put Morocco, Senegal up there, but I really like Ivory Coast and obviously Congo. Congo, I like them. Cabo Verde.
Yeah.
Because they knocked out Cameroon, so I want them to go far because Cameroon end in the World Cup. But in total honesty, I have a soft spot for Cabo Verde with the way they play and the togetherness and the joy that they bring to the World Cup.
Absolutely, I think we all do. Finally, I'm going to have one name from both of you, and you know what I'm going to ask? I'm going to see Clive there is going to sink into his chair because you know what I'm going to ask him. I think England are going to win the World Cup. Clive, what do you think? Give me a name.
I think if England win the World Cup, Harry Kane will be the top goal scorer. And if that's the case, we will win the World Cup.
OK, and what about you, Seb? now, played for France under-21s, played for Cameroon, leaning towards Africa. Who do you think's going to win the World Cup?
I would root for France, but I would love Harry to be the top goal scorer because I got a Spurs connection.
Works for me, but let's hope England do it. Boys, really appreciate your time. Clive, thanks so much from Madrid, and Seb for staying up in New York as well. And enjoy the rest of the tournament. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm so excited about the game tonight.
So am I. Yeah,
I just hope I haven't got my hopes up because we played so well. We played so well.
Keep your hopes high.
You think so?
Absolutely. It's looking good. We're looking good.
Keep your hopes high.
I've just seen a great tweet that's gone viral, or a post on X, I should say. We're getting our 7th Prime Minister in 10 years. It's 30 degrees outside, and we're playing well in a World Cup. We have become Italy.
Very good. That's a really good.
Very good. Very good.
Very good. Maybe that's what we need.
More of this.
More of this. Yes. Very
nice.
nice.
More of Italia. Anyway, that's a terrible impression. I do apologise for offending anybody.
Offending any Italians
Yes,
this morning.
of course. You know that's not my MO.
Thanks, Coity.
Pleasure.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, the Cabinet are going to be arriving in the next hour for their first Cabinet meeting since Keir Starmer's resignation. That could be potentially quite awkward, couldn't it?
I think it's quite awkward.
It could be, yes.
It's like a family dinner.
It is a bit,
no one wants to be at.
After a divorce or something. Anyway, we're going to be keeping an eye on that famous black door. We'll bring that to you when we've got it.
But before that, we've got our great guest doing papers, Madeleine and Festus, are here going through all the top stories.
But before any of that, here's your forecast across Europe.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
The extreme heat at the moment is not confined to the UK. Many parts of Europe, especially France, seeing exceptionally high temperatures during the next few days. It's more typical temperatures for Greece, along with a few showers. But for Italy, we're up into the mid to high 30s. And across many parts of Spain, into France, we're talking about the low 40s away from coastal parts. And here's the temperature trend for Paris, finally turning cooler by the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
But there's a huge amount of psychological evidence. There's lots of theories about when people make decisions and follow them with actions, their behaviour becomes consistent with the choice they made. So if you get married, you're more likely to see each other with rose-tinted spectacles, that kind of thing. The signal value of marriage is absolutely huge. I was talking to a young couple who are newly engaged just the other day, and they said it was amazing how it actually changed the way that they felt about their relationship. So it does provide extra security, and doing it in front of your friends makes a huge difference as well. It holds you to account. So there's a huge psychology behind the act of marriage. So it would be weird if there wasn't any effect at all. I found that your family background, so your age, your education, income, affects about half of your chance of staying together.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The art world has lost its darling, probably the most respected, celebrated, influential artist of the 20th and 21st century. And as you say, career spanning 7 decades, whether you're looking at his portraits or his Californian swimming pools or his spectacular Yorkshire landscapes, he made art for the people. The art world can be a rather snobby place, which is unfortunate at times, but he made art for the people. If you think about the portraits, the people that he painted, whether it be Mr. and Mrs. Ossie Clark, the fashion designer, and Percy the cat, or Harry Styles, or a portrait of his carer.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, I'm going to try and explain what SpaceX is. It's set to become one of the most valuable companies in the world. But it's not just about rockets. Everyone will be aware. OK, well, it'd be really nice if Elon Musk could could help us out with our tech here, because I'm trying to draw a rocket and we're not able to. What is going on? I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm afraid our very own. Let's see. No, we're not. I'll try and explain what's going on with SpaceX without any visual aids. How disappointing! It's 3 companies really. It's a rocket company, it's a communications company, and it's an AI company, all in one. It controls 84% of the commercial launch market in this country.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. It is 7:46. Let's take a look at some newspaper front pages. The Telegraph leads on Andy Burnham. Who else? The so-called King of the North, expected to become Prime Minister within just weeks after Keir Starmer resigned.
The Guardian also leads on the news that we're going to have our 7th Prime Minister in 10 years.
And the Daily Mail follows suit, branding Andy Burnham a messiah without a mandate.
And finally, The Sun labels Burnham's arrival at Westminster a coup.
Well, joining us to go through the papers this morning is Madeline Grant and Festus Akinbusoye. Very good morning, you two.
Good morning.
Madeline, let's start, shall we, with the Daily Mail. A Messiah without a mandate. It's a really catchy headline, isn't it? But the idea of a coronation will make many people very uneasy because he doesn't have that mandate.
No, he doesn't. And have we learnt nothing from recent politics where we've had this consistent trend of new Prime Minister after new Prime Minister, often with very abrupt shifts into being in power all of a sudden? And actually, you know who else will be very worried about this? Andy Burnham and his team. They wanted a bit longer to prepare for government, but we're genuinely looking at the prospect now of Burnham potentially being Prime Minister before the World Cup final, within a matter of weeks. This is not ideal, and it's not how they would have wanted it to go either. So, yes, I am a bit worried. And I think the glimpses that we've seen of Andy Burnham facing some kind of scrutiny, there was a particularly damning Newsnight interview recently where he was unable to even explain the most basic principles of policy competently. This does not inspire confidence.
Yeah, but on that note, the British public was so desperate for change, Festus, that in Makerfield, which had gone reform in the local elections, essentially, they returned Andy Burnham in a landslide. So perhaps the feeling is that maybe he is the man for change.
I mean, for Reform, for example, who are actually looking to do very, very well in this, it doesn't really look very, very good for them, given the fact that the scale of the win, that Andy achieved. But for me, when I look at the way things are now shaping up, even though Andy Burnham is not the Prime Minister yet, what does this mean for the regions across the country? We were talking about this earlier on, Madeline. He's very much, pro-Northern, and he's got all these, Northern lasses, as he's referred to them. Where does this leave different parts of the country? Are you going to see a place like London, that accounts for almost a quarter of the country's GDP, be neglected? How does this kind of play with the mayor and all the kind of dynamics around there? It was very interesting to see how this actually shifts power and where that is shifted to across the regions in the country.
And it's quite obvious that they see a source of untapped wealth to be, property values and so forth. But a lot of people in London and the South East have a property that is worth something.
Yes.
They don't have the ready cash to pay some kind of annual property levy, and they already probably feel very well taxed as it is. And so I think this could cause a significant backlash. There's not this kind of group of fantasy plutocrats that can just pay for everything, and it's quite easy to get money out of them. No. I hate to break it to you, but the genuinely wealthy people are very internationally mobile, and they will just leave. There's loads of countries that would love to have them.
And the example's already showing it's already happening.
Yeah. It's already happening.
What a shock of that one. Right, should we talk about the EU? Well, delays to the Brexit reset there, Festus, as well. What do we think 10 years on? Do you think Brexit's been a success?
Well, I'll make a declaration here. Someone who actually voted for Remain, but absolutely supports the outcome of that election. And I think people have very short memories of the absolute chaos that our country went through during the period of negotiating the Brexit deal, whether you like it or not. Do we really want to go over this again? Why don't we just try to find a way to make the best of Brexit and push our country in a position where we are growing as an economy, more people have employment, more businesses are thriving? Why do we have to keep trying to, reopen this? It is done. The election has taken place. Let's move on and make the best of it.
And crucially, try and learn the lessons of what the Brexit vote was telling British politics. It's unfathomable to me that the Conservative Party, the party that played such a role in, campaigning for Brexit and so on, especially Boris Johnson, decided that the natural and rational response to that vote was to bring migration to never-before-seen levels in our country's history. Yeah.
What do you make of the EU Reset conference? It was meant to take place, I believe, on the 22nd of July. That's now been put back. And it's being reported, at least in the Telegraph this morning, that Brussels have done this because they actually favour Andy Burnham over Sir Keir Starmer. They think they're going to be... Andy Burnham is going to be softer.
Even softer.
Pretty damning, isn't it, to be considered a softer target than Keir Starmer, who really, I think, had a lack of ideas and was always very comfortable with the idea of having some guy in Brussels telling him what to do, in the same way that he also likes to take instruction from international law, because all of this means never having to actually take a decision himself. So if they think Andy Burnham is a softer touch, I mean, fair enough. It's a new administration, so perhaps they want to try their luck.
Which always happens.
And it wasn't long ago, of course, that Andy Burnham was saying that he wanted to rejoin the EU.
Yes.
That video that did the rounds and he later disavowed, I think that was
Like
only in
2 days
December.
later.
That was only December 2025.
However, that being said, Andy Burnham has just won a Brexit seat. I think it was 65% in Makerfield they voted in favour of Brexit.
Yeah.
And that may have changed the way he has to approach Brexit now, because you'll have to be accountable to those people in a potential a general election in the future.
And obviously got that red wall area that mostly voted Brexit. How he's going to be able to balance that equation is going to be interesting to see. But for me, I think, the fact that the EU are looking at Andy Burnham as a softer touch and someone that they can actually pull a fast one over because they think he's that weak, I'm not sure that's a wonderful endorsement for any incoming Prime Minister for Britain to have to deal with.
Festus, let's stay with you, shall we, and talk about something that you really want to mention this morning, and this is live facial recognition. It's going to be rolled out across London. What do you make of it?
I think it's a good idea. We need to do it. And this is going to be targeting two particular areas in the West End, in London, namely West End and Soho. When Westminster has got the highest overall crime rates in the whole of London. And all that is made up of two primary areas, mostly the West End area and Soho. It just gives some data. There are about 410 crimes per 1,000 in Westminster. That makes it the #1 crime area in the whole of London. The second, Camden, comes in at 188 per 1,000. So the scale is very different. And what live facial recognition cameras actually do is to actually help the police to be able to better detect crime. Where this was piloted in Croydon, they were making an arrest every 35 minutes. No cop can have that rate of arrest without getting tired within 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, I guess we have to wrap it up there, guys, but you'll be back with us shortly to talk more politics with us. But I guess the question is, Nottingham just banned balaclavas as well. Do we need to roll that out across the whole country too?
Yeah, Madeleine, Festus, loads more to talk about. We'll see you in the 8 o'clock hour. Lots coming for you in the 8 o'clock hour, including an interview with Nigel Farage. Catherine Forster is in Downing Street for us and has got all the details. Morning to you, Catherine.
Yes, good morning. The Cabinet will be meeting here, trying to give an impression of business as usual, but it really isn't, because the herd has moved, and it has moved to Andy Burnham. But don't go anywhere, because our political editor, Christopher Hope, will be interviewing Nigel Farage shortly.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Widespread sunny skies today, the odd shower or thunderstorm, but otherwise it's just increasingly hot across the United Kingdom, with extreme heat expected in some places. Temperatures rising quickly once any showers and thunderstorms clear from the east of England. 1 or 2 showers could pop up across northern England and more especially the north and northwest of Scotland. Patchy cloud in northern areas, unbroken sunshine elsewhere, and temperatures widely across the UK looking at the mid to high 20s or low 30s, but across the heart of England into parts of Wales, temperatures into the mid-30s, 37 Celsius, the most likely maximum temperature. That would beat June's temperature record set in 1976. But it's going to get even hotter over the next few days. It's also going to stay very warm overnight, and you can see into the evening still temperatures in the mid-20s across a large part of Scotland, into Northern Ireland as well. Some patchy cloud here, blue skies continuing for many parts of England and Wales. 6 p.m. temperatures, 34, 35 Celsius for the likes of Oxford and London, for example. Those temperatures staying elevated overnight, especially around some western and southwestern coastal parts, with high humidity expected through the day and night of the next few days. We can expect a very oppressive feel to things, buildings and people struggling to cool down. So we start off Wednesday with temperatures already in the low to mid-20s. and those temperatures are going to rise very quickly through the morning. Wednesday, one of the hottest days of the week and one of the hottest days ever recorded in the UK. Patchy cloud and some showers in the north of Scotland, hot sunshine elsewhere, temperatures peaking at 39 Celsius, if not a little higher in places.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M25 anti-clockwise between junctions 26 and 25, a collision has closed one lane, with 30-minute delays expected until 9:15 this morning. The M4 eastbound near junction 33 has 3 lanes restricted. In Northamptonshire, a broken-down vehicle blocks one northbound lane on the A43, with normal traffic expected after 8:15. Eastbound on the M62 near Wakefield, one lane is closed due to a collision. And on the trains, major disruption affects East Midlands Railway and Thameslink between London St Pancras International and Bedford, worsened by hot weather. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The so-called King of the North prepares for his coronation.
Yes, Andy Burnham is greeted by a sea of Labour backbenchers and, of course, former government ministers as he arrives in Westminster.
Well, what a 24 hours it has been since Sir Keir Starmer announced his resignation.
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
Well, a key member of Starmer's government, Nick Thomas-Symonds, has given Andy Burnham his seal of approval.
For me, it is about a stable, orderly and swift transition. So that is what I am in favour of, and backing Andy Burnham to take over and to build upon the work of the last 2 years.
And this is what he said when we asked him about calls for a general election.
I'd be surprised if the opposition wasn't always calling for a general election. I mean, I hope I was calling for a general election a lot more often than that when I was in opposition.
And as the world reacts to the news, should the former Greater Manchester Mayor call an election as his first order of business?
Well, Andy Burnham given a rock-star welcome here in Westminster because he beat Reform by 20 points in Makerfield. But is he really the answer to all their problems? He doesn't really have a mandate.
Reform UK leader Nigel Farage sits down with our political editor Christopher Hope on all things Andy Burnham and talking about 10 years since Brexit.
And talking of Brexit, it's a decade today since the great British public voted forever for Brexit, changing our course of our history.
And I will go to Parliament and propose that the British people decide our future in Europe through an in-out referendum on Thursday, the 23rd of June.
June the 23rd go down in our history as our Independence Day!
Well, earlier on the programme, Lib Dem leader Sir Ed Davey encouraged any future Prime Minister to prioritise good relations with the EU.
What I'd say to Mr Burnham, if he does become Prime Minister, Labour's red lines on getting a closer trading relationship with Europe, they've got to go. If we want to grow our economy, if we want to fix our public finances, if we want to end the cost of living crisis, we need a plan, and that has to start with a closer trading relationship with Europe, because Brexit has cost us so heavily.
And former DUP leader Sir Geoffrey Donaldson is convicted of 18 historical sex offences against 2 women when they were children.
The nation is preparing for record-breaking temperatures after the Met Office issued a rare extreme red heat warning.
It's already very warm out there this morning and temperatures will rise quickly over the next few hours, peaking at 37 Celsius. But Wednesday and Thursday could be even hotter than that. Full details in the forecast coming up soon.
And in the sports, so what are you up to at 9 o'clock tonight? It's England versus Ghana, and a win will see us through to the round of 32. The World Cup Golden Boot race hots up as Messi scores 2 and Mbappe scores 2 and Haaland gets a hat-trick. So hopefully Harry Kane will get a few this evening. And the 2023 Wimbledon champion, Marketa Vondrousova, has been banned for 4 years.
Good morning, it's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Have you ever seen anything like it with the weather last night? I don't know what it was like in other parts of the country, but in London, the thunder, the lightning, the gale.
Very frightening.
Yeah, I suppose it was very frightening. Yeah, well, it woke me up. Woke the dog up.
Yeah, the 4 o'clock as I was driving in today, it was like...
There's flooding? Did you have flooding?
Yes. And I'm driving along down the North Circular into London, and then every now and again, because it was the middle of the night, and then I'm hitting these big ponds in the middle of the road.
It was like ponds, yeah.
It really was. And now, so off the back of that, this like biblical weather through the night, then we're going to have it really hot today, right?
As I was getting in today, I was thinking about having the windows down because it was quite, it was quite nice.
What, blaring your music, leaning out the window?
Well, yeah, but... look, this is if you're listening on radio, this is some of the lightning here. It's absolutely
what a show it was! Look at it,
incredible here. Dark skies, vivid lightning there.
Yeah.
But as I was coming in this morning, I'm glad I didn't put the windows down because coming past me with this massive lorry, and it literally felt like I was in a car wash. That's how much water went over the car. I would have got drenched on the way in today. So that is how severe it is. And, of course, it's now caused a ton of delays in London. The Tube has decided to shut down because we can't cope with anything slightly extreme in London, can we?
And, well, there will be flooding, and then the extreme heat.
Yes, severe
delays. Wires can't often.
So if you can't sleep because of the heat, then you couldn't sleep because of the thunder. Everybody's feeling tired this morning.
Now you can't even get into work. Look, that's a picture of a tube station. They're absolutely torrential. Of course, it's shut down many parts of London. I'm sure across the country you're experiencing similar scenes as well. I just don't think anyone expected this, did they?
No, I've spoken to a number of people this morning who have said they have never seen anything like it.
It came out of nowhere.
Do you have any memory of anything like this, Coity?
No, I mean, I remember being a child in 76.
Yeah, 76.
I do remember being a kid when it was very hot. But the thing is, the big number back then was 100 degrees because we would say Fahrenheit, whereas now it's all Celsius. Do you know what 100 is?
No idea.
It's half and a little bit less, so what's that, 35?
Yeah, 37.7.
That was close.
So
that was good.
very good, 37.7, so if we that's the 100 degrees in the old money.
Fahrenheit rubbish.
It'll be 38 tomorrow.
Yeah, child.
Anyway.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah, child maths. Your child weather metrics.
Pat says, still thundering and raining in Essex.
Wow, there you go.
Keep views coming in, gbnews.com/you'll say.
Right, to our top story. Andy Burnham, the former Greater Manchester Mayor, is inching ever closer to being crowned as leader of the Labour Party and therefore becoming Prime Minister.
Well, the self-proclaimed King of the North could be handed the keys to number 10 in just 3.5 weeks. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
And I hate that phrase, King of the North, because he's not even from the North, is he?
Yeah.
Anyway, now, if Andy Burnham is successful in his bid to take over from the Prime Minister currently, Sir Keir Starmer, he will be our 7th Prime Minister in just over 10 years.
So we thought we'd take a listen to the resignation speeches of our last 6 leaders. Here's a recap.
But the British people have made a very clear decision to take a different path. And as such, I think the country requires fresh leadership to take it in this direction.
So I am today announcing that I will resign as leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party on Friday the 7th of June.
It is clearly now the will of the Parliamentary Conservative Party that there should be a new leader of that party and therefore a new Prime Minister. And I've agreed with Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of our backbench MPs, that the process of choosing that new leader should begin now.
I have therefore spoken to His Majesty the King to notify him that I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
I will shortly be seeing His Majesty the King to offer my resignation as Prime Minister. To the country, I would like to say first and foremost, I am sorry.
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
There's a real standout of all of those. Rishi Sunak leading with an apology. I think that was just something very human about that.
Yeah, and in the pouring rain as well.
In the pouring, well, that's when he announced the general election, wasn't it? And yeah, quite something. But now we're going to go to Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, who's been emphatic that Andy Burnham should call a general election, arguing he has no mandate.
Well, our political editor Christopher Hope is with Reform UK leader Nigel Farage. Morning to you, Chris.
Good morning, Ellie, and morning, Alex. Welcome, Nigel Farage, to GB News Studios. Is that all your fault, then, all that chaos?
A lot of it is, yes. Because 10 years ago today, the British people, despite being told by the trade unions, big business, the Conservative Party, Labour Party, Lib Dems, Uncle Todd Cobley and all, do not vote Brexit or the sky will fall in. And they decided, you know what? We'll make a political decision. We'll vote to get back control of our country. And in those 10 years, most of our politicians have tried to either overturn the result out of their sheer contempt for the people or not implement it properly. And so that was the earthquake, 23rd of June, 2016, and these are the aftershocks, and they're still going. So what happened on May the 7th? On May the 7th, the Labour Party got wiped out in the North East, the North West, Yorkshire, the West Midlands, South Wales, wiped out by Reform. They were all Brexit voting areas. So the splits and divides between the parties and their own voters are still there.
Aren't we all over this, though? Brexit voters in Makerfield have returned to Remain MP, who might be our next Prime Minister.
In a by-election to get rid of the most unpopular Prime Minister in history, yes. No, we're not over it. We're not over it. And you know, I'm pretty angry 10 years on that the realistic expectations that people had for less regulation on small business, for immigration to be reduced, I'm pretty angry that the Tories in particular threw that away.
It was a power transfer back to elected politicians, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it hasn't gone very well for any of them, judging by the footage we showed just then.
Yeah, none of them have actually adjusted and adapted to what the people wanted.
Before we get back to Brexit, and it's a big anniversary day for you, quickly about the politics. Andy Burnham is about to be the new PM. You were the Messiah once. He's the new Messiah. Clear off, Farage. Here comes Burnham.
So it's very interesting. Remember Boris Johnson as Mayor of London? Enormously popular. Andy Burnham, Mayor of Manchester, enormously popular. Why? Because mayors fulfil a civic role. They cut ribbons. They, you know, host visiting film stars. Politicians have to take positions. We, at the moment, have almost no idea where this man stands on anything. He's flipped and flopped in the last month more than Keir Starmer has in the last 2 years. So, yes, you know, it looks like a triumphant entry, but we'll see.
So you want to see an election of him to be leader rather than a coronation, so we can try and drill down to the idea.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Al Khan's or someone like that stands against him, so that over the course of a summer we can actually see what he stands for. At the moment, we haven't got a clue. And by the way, if he does become Prime Minister on July the 17th, he'll do so with no mandate whatsoever. No mandate whatsoever. And I think the public are sick to death of the game of musical chairs that's going on in Downing Street and deserve a vote.
Just quickly on Keir Starmer, you feel a bit sorry for him, do you, on a human level?
A little bit, but not much.
No.
Not much. I found he became petulant, aggressive, rude, insulting. He left yesterday with no dignity at all. And I thought Alex's comment was right a moment ago before we came on air. At least Sunak was man enough to say sorry.
But he wasn't going. He wasn't going then. He was fighting an election, so that was a different moment.
No. That was his resignation.
Oh, I see. Of course, yeah.
When he resigned, he said, "I am sorry."
Of course.
And that showed a certain humility. And I thought, yeah, OK, Rishi, well done. You know, you've admitted it. If Starmer yesterday had said, look, it hasn't gone to plan, I've done my best, but it's time to hand over the baton, I'd have had more respect.
Because you offered to help him once, didn't you?
I did. When he was first elected as Prime Minister, I spoke to David Lammy and him. I said, look, if you want any help understanding the American administration, I am here. I'll do it below the radar, no publicity. I'll do it in the interest of the country.
You want an election now?
Yes.
Now, Kemi Badenoch wants one if the defence commitment isn't made.
I mean, Kemi Badenoch does not want an election, so she dresses it up in a certain way. She knows the Conservative Party would be obliterated if there was an election tomorrow.
Are you ready for one?
Ready-ish.
Well, you haven't got the candidates, have you yet? I mean...
Well, we've got a couple of thousand candidates that have been going through the process for the last X number of months. So, look, we can be ready very, very quickly.
About Reform UK, critics say you've been avoiding the press since your £5 million gift from a donor.
This is just unbelievable.
I know you're here now talking to me, but are you avoiding the press? You keep appearing in fields and talking to the world from a field.
Oh, because that was just much easier. That was the morning after a by-election, barely had any sleep. Rather than going around all the studios, I did a press conference.
Last week, Robert Jenrick?
No. I did a press conference in Scotland, outside the old refinery. I've answered more questions since May the 7th than Keir Starmer has. I mean, so this is all nonsense.
But he's Prime Minister, you're not Prime Minister yet, so your job is to answer questions from the press if you're...
No, the Prime Minister's... no, his job is to answer questions more than me. My job's to ask some of them.
And this £5 million gift, which people say you're trying to avoid questions on, is there anything in return for the donor, Christopher Harbour?
Nothing.
It's just basically a gift?
Nothing. Yeah, as Boris Johnson got as well. Boris Johnson got a gift from the same donor, all right? And it's with standards, and we'll see what they judge. I've done nothing wrong. And by the way, interesting, isn't it? No one ever asks me about the fact that as an MP, I have claimed 0 personal expenses in 2 years. I never get asked that. Funny, isn't it?
And so it was a thank you gift for Brexit Day, is that what it was for?
Whatever his motives
for
were.
Security?
Whatever his motives for. I know what I want to use the money for until the day I die, which is the state, as you know, has always failed to provide me with protection. I will need it until the day I die.
OK. Professor John Curtis says you've maxed out yourself in the polls, 30% or so. How would you get past that number? How do you appeal to all the country rather than just a group who like you? And this anyone but Farage movement is damaging at the polls. I mean, how do you reach out beyond that?
You know, I mean, let's remember that Keir Starmer won a massive majority on a third of the vote. So under our system, if we get a third of the vote, we can win a massive majority. Is there going to be a general election where the other parties all get together and conspire in some big anti-reform coalition? I just don't see it because they've all got their own self-interest. I mean, whichever way you cut it, you know, I came back into this game 2 years ago. We've led the last 300 opinion polls in a row. And even if for now we're there at 30, we're still 9 to 10 points ahead of all the others. It's not bad.
That could close, though. I mean, there'll be a burn and bounce, won't there, pretty certainly?
I think there'll be a short-term burn and bounce. I don't see a big burn and bounce. Maybe I'm wrong. But look, this has to be put to the public. We can't go on like this.
And that might lead, I think, to them going towards an election next May. I mean, you always thought it would be an election next May. You forecast some form of run on Sterling this November, didn't you?
Yes.
And that, well, the things events are moving ahead of that.
I've always thought next May would happen as an election. I think when you see that our national debt is growing more quickly than any country in the world apart from Botswana, we are in big, big trouble. But I'd rather the election happen before that.
Reports today Andy Burnham wants to look at nationalising utilities in the first 100 days, maybe.
Well, where's the money going to come from?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be increased taxes? Is it going to be more on tax on savers? That's what I fear.
In terms of the right, unite the right, Kemi Badenoch says the weekend she doesn't want to deal with reform. You don't want to deal with her, do you? But you reached out to Restore voters, I saw.
To voters, yes.
To voters, yeah.
Yeah, to say, look, just think about this.
Because the principals, you, Rupert Lowe and others, don't get on.
Oh, he's formed a party with, on the top line, exactly the same policies as ours. However...
So why not get into a room with Kemi Badenoch and Rupert Lowe?
Well, you can't get in... Well, you can only go into a room with Rupert Lowe if you've got protection.
OK.
But
he denies all that.
Kemi Badenoch, here we are on the 10th anniversary of Brexit, right? One of the things we expected was for thousands of EU laws to go to make life easier. She was the minister who had the pen in her hand, who could have signed off that legislation and chose not
and watered down the numbers going from 6,000 to 300 or so.
Yeah, and if you add that to net zero mania and mass migration, it's very difficult to think to myself, how could I ever trust this Conservative Party?
Yes or no? You want to be Prime Minister, don't you?
Yes.
And you're saying it now. You weren't saying it a few
What
months
I've always said, and perhaps it's too nuanced, I've always said most people in politics are there because they want the rank, the title, the status, and I couldn't give a damn about that. What interests me is getting outcomes. Simple as that. So I get misinterpreted on this, but, I'm not like Boris Johnson, sort of at the age of 3, I want to be, global world leader or anything like that. Politics for me has always been about what I can achieve doing it.
And you've campaigned against things for so long, and now you might get a chance if you stay ahead in the polls.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that I've campaigned for, Chris, initially were very unpopular, not liked. But I've stuck with my messages, and I think on many of those areas, I have proven to be right.
Just back to Brexit then, how are you marking the big day? You show us your socks. You're wearing the Farage Union Jack
socks. I've got to have the socks on. I'm getting together with Aaron Banks, who, of course, put a huge amount of money into the Leave.eu campaign. I think Baroness Kate Hoey is going to be there, and it'll be a regathering of our tribe. And there were two campaigns. There was Vote Leave, which was all Tory ministers appealing to Tory voters, and what we did was a much broader spread.
Is Brexit safe, or do you worry about it still?
Oh, constitutionally...
Because we've got this Remainer supporting Prime Minister.
Yeah, constitutionally, Brexit will not be overturned.
It won't be. Guaranteed. That's a Farage guarantee.
If Andy Burnham says to the country at the next election, I'm going to take you back into the EU, he will not win a single seat in the north of England. Simple as. Simple as.
So it can be overturned, but he won't do it for political reasons?
It's politically impossible to overturn it. But the Tories didn't take us away from it enough, as we just explained about legislation, which means we're now aping EU legislation. And so we're economically tying ourselves again closely to the most failing economic part of the world. Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
What do you say to those, finally, who want a second referendum? Because that's how you do the overturning.
That is now a very small minority view. I don't think the country wants to go through the agonies.
But polling wants people to rejoin, doesn't it? That's what.
Until you have the arguments. Until you have the arguments.
Cost us billions.
Yeah. Well, what would it cost us to join? 20 billion a year, a commitment to join the euro? Forget it.
Not going to happen. Before you go, 2 quick questions. How are you sleeping in the heat? On the covers?
I've got a little aircon unit.
Have you?
Which sticks out of the window. Had it for years.
And it works?
It works, although very expensive on electricity, given our energy prices.
And a quick message today for the football team, for England football team.
Well, I have to say...
They've got this?
I have to say, I went into the last game with the lowest expectations I've ever had at any World Cup since 1970. Yeah. And they came out after half-time.
Yeah.
I don't know what the manager said to them. But it was absolutely incredible.
It was a German manager too.
So, well, I know.
There we are,
I
you
know.
see.
Well, anyway, whatever.
Whatever.
But it was brilliant.
OK. Nigel Farage, thank you for joining us on a busy morning today. On Brexit morning, have a good day.
Thank you.
Nigel Farage there, setting out how he's spending today on a big day for Brexiteers.
Huge day. Christopher Hope, thank you so much for bringing that to us, and thank you to Nigel Farage as well.
Indeed. Right, let's talk indeed to GB News' chief political correspondent, Catherine Forster. Catherine, there's now a debate raging as to whether I'm right or wrong as to whether or not Andy Burnham is indeed a northerner. Listen, I have to say, I don't think Liverpool classes as the north. I think the north is York, it's Newcastle, but it is a debate to be had. What do you think, Catherine?
No, I'm sorry, Alex. You are 100% wrong. I am from the north. I am from Yorkshire. Liverpool is most certainly in the north of England. Andy Burnham was born in the north and has lived between Liverpool and Manchester. Take it from a northerner.
Right.
I know where the north is.
Well, look, we're glad you cleared that one up, Catherine.
Thanks, Catherine.
So we're having quite the debate here in the studio. Look, bring us up to date with what we can expect in the next hour or so. Cabinet arrivals. Do you think it could be a little bit awkward in there today?
I think it's going to be very awkward indeed, because of course they're going to start coming past us probably in the next half hour or so, trying to project this business as usual vibe. But it is not business as usual, because the Prime Minister announced that he was going to resign standing here yesterday, and over to the side of him there were a team, but hardly any cabinet ministers. Yes, David Lammy, the Deputy Prime Minister. Yes, the Attorney General, Lord Hermer. Yes, Darren Jones, his Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister. But Rachel Reeves, who we know was here because she was seen going out for a 25-minute jog, was nowhere to be seen, nor were most of the others. And yet, when I went over to Westminster Hall at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon to see Andy Burnham get that rock star welcome, who did I see? Pretty much all of the cabinet. Wes Streeting, of course, he resigned a couple of weeks ago. John Healey, yes, he resigned too. Al Khan, he also resigned, but lots of still sitting cabinet ministers. Rachel Reeves was there, looking very chipper. Jonathan Reynolds, the chief whip, also Steve Reid. The list goes on and on, because the herd has not just moved, it has stampeded across to Andy Burnham because he got that 20-point win against reform, more votes in fact than Reform, Restore, the Tories, the Lib Dems, everyone else put together in Makerfield last Thursday night. And that means that they think that he can take on reform and that he is a winner. He is very popular in the Northwest, certainly. One of his team said to me that they thought he had a bit of magic. Maybe. I mean, people do connect with him. He is very good at communicating. He's got a sort of way about him, much like Boris Johnson was popular. But of course, when you get into number 10, any magic disappears quite quickly when you come up against the cold, hard reality of the fact that we've got very deep-seated problems in this country and no clear way to get through them, especially considering we don't have much money, which is something that a lot of Labour MPs don't seem to have really taken on board.
Indeed, Catherine. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Cabinet responds today to the Prime Minister. Before you go, we've really started a debate here on your say, Catherine. I think there needs to be a referendum on where the north is at this rate. Joe says, look at a map, all the counties above York are northern, and he's from York himself. But then there's other people saying, Grumpy Grandad, Liverpool is in the north and always will be. I'm Blackburn lad. Some other people saying we in Lancashire are northerners. I think we need a referendum on this.
Can I just say to whoever it said that the north is York, is north of York? Well, like, are we saying that South Yorkshire, that Doncaster, that Sheffield, where I went to university, is in the mid? No, come on, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Yeah, let's get some other views.
Yes. Well, talking of referendums, indeed. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you. Because today, of course, marks 10 years since the United Kingdom held this historic referendum on the membership of the European Union. When, of course, the polls closed, the bookmakers said it was Remains to lose.
But by the morning, a political earthquake awoke Britain. Our national reporter Jack Carson has taken a look back at the Brexit vote.
And I will go to Parliament and propose that the British people decide our future in Europe through an in-out referendum on Thursday, the 23rd of June.
The response from the political spectrum was more electrifying than Prime Minister David Cameron could have ever anticipated. Cameron himself, who quickly and openly declared himself a Remainer, had always been a political gambler.
We believe this is the right thing for Britain. A bigger, bolder, better Britain remains inside the EU with these guarantees.
In 2014, he had gambled as he oversaw a vote on the future of the Union with the independence referendum in Scotland. Riding high off that success, he believed he would claim another victory. What he had not gambled on, however, was a bitter split in his own cabinet, and even amongst his closest friends.
Now, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance for us to take back control of this country. Can you hear me at the back? Yeah!
To horror early on in the campaign, both Boris Johnson and Michael Gove outed themselves as Leavers and went on to lead the Leave campaign. Right up until the end, though, the received wisdom was that the Eurosceptics couldn't pull it off. Then came the night that changed British politics forever. As polling stations closed, the mood in Westminster, the markets and much of the media was cautiously confident. The bookmakers favoured Remain, sterling rose. Even some leading Leave campaigners privately feared they'd fallen short.
If I was a betting man, I would say that probably Remain might nick it by a fraction, but who's to say? Who's to say?
But as the first results began to trickle in, a very different picture emerged. In Sunderland, one of the night's earliest declarations, Leave surged far beyond expectations. Across England and Wales, town after town delivered majorities for Brexit. The numbers no longer looked like isolated victories, they looked like a trend. As the hours passed, confidence turned to disbelief. The pound tumbled. Ministers and advisers watched in shock as the results slipped away. By dawn, the verdict was undeniable.
Let June the 23rd go down in our history as our Independence Day!
Against the predictions of pollsters, markets and much of the political establishment, Britain had voted to leave the European Union.
We've got our country back!
The final margin was narrow.
The total number of votes cast in favour of Remain was 16,141,241. The total number of votes cast in favour of Leave was 17,410,742.
David Cameron, the man who had called the referendum to settle a political argument, emerged from Downing Street just hours later.
I will do everything I can as Prime Minister to steady the ship over the coming weeks and months. But I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination.
The gamble he believed would secure his legacy had instead brought it to an abrupt end and shaped the future of British politics for the next decade and beyond. Jack Carson, GB News.
There we go.
You've definitely started something.
I have.
Where is the north in this country? You've all got a different definition for it. Mark says Nottinghamshire and South Yorkshire definitely in the north. Basically, all of the towns and cities where everyone is a grafter. Then you know you're in the north. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, Joe, a good friend of the show, Joe Holden, says, come south of the Scottish borders, then Northumberland, Newcastle is the north of England. HS2 annoyed me saying it's going north to Birmingham, which is in the middle of the country. Rant over. Totally right, Joe. Totally right as ever. But who knows? Look, this is the thing. Can you define him as king of the north? When people don't even think he's northern?
Depends where your definition of the north is. Clearly, you're saying Liverpool isn't the north.
I can't remember. I saw a comment a moment ago. Someone from Southampton said everything is north to me.
Well, it would be, wouldn't it, in Southampton? Anyway, keep your views coming in on that and anything else that we're talking about this morning. gbnews.com/you'll-say. Do stay with us because cabinet arrivals are imminent. We're going to be live outside Downing Street for all the twists and turns. They're going to be trying to act like it's business as usual, but really it's anything but.
Indeed.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/you'll-say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/you'll-say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the late edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It is 8:32. Now, at the start of the hour, former UK leader Nigel Farage sat down with our political editor, Christopher Hope, talking about all things Brexit and Andy Burnham. Christopher Hope joins us again now. Morning to you, Chris. What did you make of it?
Well, it was a reflective Farage, wasn't it? Wearing his Union Jack socks he always wears, I suppose, on Brexit Day.
I've got mine on today, actually.
A real moment. Oh, yeah, it's good.
It does.
A real moment, I think, for Brexiteers. I mean, Brexit was essentially a power transfer from people who weren't elected to people who are elected. That's all it was. And people make it much more complicated than that because it's unwinding decades of giving away power to unelected Brussels institutions. And what Farage tapped into and secured those votes, along with the Vote Leave campaign. And by the way, both Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage, they need each other to make this happen. And we may be speaking to Boris Johnson later today for GB News 2 to get his thoughts on a very big day for those who supported Brexit. It's simply, that's what had to happen. It was the UK, I think, reversing and on this giving away power to unelected groups. I was on the battle bus on the final day of the campaign back in 2016 with Boris Johnson and Michael Gove. I think Conor Burns was there in Bournemouth, and I was reflecting on Twitter that it was like, if this happens tomorrow, we leave the European Union, it's the biggest message sent to the establishment since the Peasants' Revolt, since Wat Tyler dealt with and took on the land establishment then. I think it was a moment when ordinary Brits said, we want to have a say over how our country's run, and we want our elected politicians to do it. If you can't do it properly, let's get a new lot in. And of course, Farage himself draws a line and looks at all the series of prime ministers we've had since 2016, 7 in 10 years, as you were showing in your footage at the top of the hour, and thinks, well, I can draw a line back to Brexit. He seemed on good form. He's off for a lunch now with Aaron Banks and others, those who founded that Leave.eu campaign. On politics, he didn't go anywhere near the idea of uniting the right. He talked a bit about Rupert Lowe. The two men don't get on, and Rupert Lowe, of course, denies all allegations made about him by Nigel Farage. But he did make an appeal, didn't he, Farage, to restore voters last Friday, saying, come to us, help us deal with the left. I think as we get towards an election campaign, those calls will grow and grow, even though, of course, Kevin Badenoch has also said she won't be part of it. Yes, and he talked, I think, about his party, the £5 million gift that will go on security that came from a crypto millionaire. He wasn't sorry much for for Keir Starmer, who quit as PM yesterday. He felt it wasn't a very gracious speech. It could have been done more than that. And of course, Nigel Farage did actually offer to help Keir Starmer on relations with Donald Trump when he first came in, and that was rejected by Keir Starmer. And he does also think there'll be an election next May. He's always said that. He thought there'd be a run on the pound in November caused by an emergency budget as banks and the bond markets run out of patience with the UK. It may be a different reason now, because he did accept there'll be what's called a Burnham bounce in the polls, pushing up Labour more to where Restore is and where Reform is, and that may give, of course, Labour the feeling they should be going for an election. And just finally, he talked about how he keeps cool in the summer. He's got a very old-fashioned but very sturdy air-conditioned unit which breezes cold air over Farage in the evening.
Okay, thank you, Christopher Hope, for bringing all of that to us. It was a wide-ranging interview. Thank you very much indeed. Well, also listening across to that interview was Daily Telegraph columnist Madeline Grant and former Police and Crime Commissioner Festus Akinbasuye. Very good morning. You two, you were listening across the interview. Madeline, what did you think of it?
Well, I think the thing that struck me was Nigel Farage, I think, is one of the top communicators in British politics at the moment, and is usually, I think, to his credit, pretty direct. Will tell it like it is. For example, after Makerfield, he says, this was a disappointment. There was no beating around the bush. I noticed that he did get rather brittle when Christopher Hope asked him about his donation. That seems to be a real sore spot for him, and actually quite unlike his demeanour under normal circumstances.
Festus?
Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting that, he talked about the Brexit benefits not having been fully taken advantage of. And I can agree with some of the points that he made about, we had an opportunity to actually deregulate a little bit more and to remove the red tape that actually prevents us from growing as we ought to do. But one thing that he didn't actually factor in, even though he's saying that we're ready for an election now, is the Restore issue. You look at what's happened on the by-elections, Restore has eaten at a lot of their votes. And that is something that I'm sure at Reform HQ they'll be quite worried about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, let's have a look at the Telegraph now, shall we? Wes Streeting's being mooted as Chancellor quite a lot. And I predicted he'll be Chancellor a few days ago, before obviously Wes has fallen behind Burnham. It seems to me that the best way for Burnham to head off a leadership contest is to roll in those people behind him in cabinet.
Yeah, and it seems like that is absolutely what's happening, and it's all sewn up, unless a Starmer right loyalist, and there's talk of Darren Jones. I mean, don't think there's any chance that anyone else could win that fight, but there is a question about maybe someone will put their hat in the ring and there will be some kind of contest. But frankly, this picture here on the front of the paper with hundreds and hundreds of Labour MPs all lining up behind Burnham suggests that it's pretty well sewn up. I mean, I don't know if every single one of those people would necessarily vote for him, but they're definitely thinking of their next job already. And as you say, getting Streeting on side is one way to do that. And also, I think there has been a lot of talk about the possible danger of a Miliband chancellorship. And, of course, the Conservative victory in Aberdeen had a lot to do with net zero, and Ed Miliband has been very resistant to any attempts to filter that down. Yes. And the trade unions are not happy about that either. So there is quite there's a lot of people within the parliamentary party that would love Miliband, but there's also people externally who are very critical of that possibility.
Particularly the markets.
How the markets feel about that,
Especially the markets.
I'm afraid we are out of time with you two, but thank you very much, Festus and Madeline, for all of your reaction to the papers today.
Yes, right. We are keeping an eye on the door of number 10, and Britain's foremost pollster, Sir John Curtis, is coming on shortly to give us an analysis of how Labour might fare if a general election was called today.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News Bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 8:42. We're very pleased to say that we are joined by the pollster, Sir John Curtis, this morning. Good to see you, Sir John. So much to unpack with you. Shall we rewind a bit and talk about Makerfield first and Andy Burnham? Because people are even saying this morning he is clearly the man to beat reform. That huge personal success in Makerfield, which had just turned turquoise after the local election. Would you agree with that assessment? Could this be repeated again on a national level, do you think?
The extent to which Burnham outpolled his party, which was probably the order of about 15 points, no, I don't think we could expect that to be replicated nationally. There are so many local factors operating to his advantage. One is, of course, the fact that he's the Mayor of Manchester, a very popular Mayor of Manchester, has long outpolled his party in that respect. Two, the fact that he had quite good local connections with the constituency. He lives not far away and previously represented an constituency. And three, of course, he was able to stand as both the representative of the Labour Party, but also the challenger to the Labour Party. He was the person whom, if you would vote Labour anyway, you voted for, but if you wanted to get rid of Keir Starmer, you voted for. And it's pretty clear that quite a lot of people who might otherwise have voted Conservative, Liberal Democrat or Green, and both those parties saw their support virtually disappear in Makerfield. They also switched in behind Andy Burnham. So, yes, Andy Burnham, polling indicates, although he's not quite so popular as he was, is certainly far more popular than Keir Starmer. Most people would say he's a better communicator than Keir Starmer, though that's not very difficult. So certainly potentially presents a more formidable challenge to reform at the national level. But I don't think we can expect Andy Burnham to pull off the kind of personal boost that he managed to achieve in the by-election.
Yes, well, let's talk about a hypothetical general election, Sir John, because, of course, that's where the conversation is moving to now, given that Andy Burnham does have a mandate as a Member of Parliament, but doesn't have a mandate necessarily as a potential Prime Minister, given that Makerfield represents 0.03% of the population, or at least those who voted for him in Makerfield do. Would Andy Burnham improve the odds of Labour winning a general election?
Probably, but not enough, is the answer to your question. So, I mean, these things are very, very difficult to judge, but we did have 3 exercises before the Makerfield by-election asking people, well, how would you vote if Andy Burnham were Prime Minister? So you're asking people to anticipate their reaction. They, between them, suggested that the boost to Labour might be between 3 and 7 points, and that therefore, at best, might put Labour very narrowly ahead of Reform. At this point, we have to remember 2 things. One, there are 410 Labour MPs who hope to maintain their parliamentary careers. A 1-point lead over Reform, even if that were to transpire, would still ensure that many of those MPs lost their seats. Oh, and by the way, would ensure that Reform was in a far better situation. That's why Mr Farage is calling for a general election. The second thing to bear in mind is this: we are not yet halfway through the Parliament. Effectively, therefore, in going to the country now, what Andy Burnham will be doing is trading the certainty of being able to have 3 years in office in return for the possible gain of gaining another 2. Holding a general election early before the midterm of a parliament does not make much sense unless you're absolutely sure you're going to win. Theresa May, of course, thought she was absolutely sure to win back in 2017, and it didn't fall out in the way that she anticipated, even though she was in a far, far better position in opinion polls than Andy Burnham is likely to find himself when he becomes Prime Minister.
OK, so John Curtis, really good to get your analysis this morning. Thank you very much for joining us on GB News Breakfast.
Well, still to come, thunder and lightning storms tonight. Did it wake you up at all? Did the hot weather keep you awake as well?
Yes.
Yeah, well, up first, though. Let's talk about something a little bit more interesting, because World Cup fever. Paul.
Get me up as well. Yeah. England play Ghana tonight. The superstars are all scoring loads of goals, and the Norwegians are doing their own version of row, row, row your boat all over America. Anyway, more of that shortly.
I'm Michael Costello. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
As we know, in a democracy, you're free to choose how you want to celebrate. And this is right on brand for Donald Trump. He loves to be a big spectacle with any celebration he does. He wants it to be big. He wants it to grab headlines. And clearly right now he wants to show strength. So it's a tactical decision as well. As we know, there's a very unpopular war going on with Iran. And he's hoping to announce a deal tonight, which would be the greatest birthday gift he could get, because we do need a deal. But it's only Donald Trump who would choose to do this. A lot of the people who follow UFC voted for him, and he's being tactical ahead of midterm elections, trying to show strength.
GB News, the People's Channel. Nana Queer, weekends from 3 p.m.
5 years ago, from today, I got to meet my absolute hero, Nigel Farage, and rub shoulders with Dan Wootton and Andrew Neil, the latter being particularly grumpy. He was less than impressed as well when the sound failed during his first broadcast. The lighting was dreadful. I looked mouldy, and at one point I was practically invisible during a breakfast show because of a black backdrop behind me. I was little more than eyes and teeth. We faced obstacle after obstacle, including Stop Funding Hate, an activist group that set about trying to destroy us before we'd even broadcast a single second. Advertisers were frightened off, and hostility towards the channel was actively encouraged, which was deeply ironic. But still, we persisted. If anything, it made us more creative and more resilient.
GB News, the People's Channel. Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Ian McKellen is helping relaunch the Yard Theatre up in Hackney, which reopens this summer, with a new purpose-built 200 capacity auditorium. Tiny, but he'll be doing a brand new version of King Lear. Up in Scotland, Alan Cumming has taken over the Pitlochry Festival. And I just want people to know that all these small theatres, number one, it's not such a big risk. Ticket prices are £30, £35, £40, top price. And you can find less than that. So you can take a risk, but you'll go along and you'll experience something. You'll be part of something. And I am a huge fan of what we get in the West End. It's world class, but it is a lot of money. And it's sometimes just a little bit predictable or complacent or safe, I would say. Not always, but sometimes.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. It's sports time because there's a big game tonight, isn't there, Paul?
There is. Are we staying up, especially late? 9 o'clock. That's like the earliest kickoff there is. It could get really late. 9 p.m. tonight, England versus Ghana.
You can't miss it.
You can't.
It's an England game. You can't miss it.
Ellie.
I like to see them off. That's what I like to do. I like to say good luck to you, and then I go to bed.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's a
I like to
terrible
see them.
excuse. OK. To see them, they get ready. Right, so England
I
versus
feel like
Ghana.
I'm there for them, and then I go to bed.
OK, fine. But
You're
the
going to
thing
stay
is,
up, I
But
assume?
what I do, though, if there's a game, it doesn't matter who it is, when I go to bed and it's on, then I'll be waking up, I think I'll have a little look at my phone, see what it is. So, no, I'll be up. I'm doing an event tonight with
Oh,
it.
you
So,
poor
yeah,
thing.
so, yeah, I'll be there. So, Boston, it happens tonight. 4-2 win against Croatia. Now, look, Ghana are number 66 in the world. Could you see the numerological link there? 1966. Number 66 in the world. Obviously means we're going to win the World Cup, doesn't it? That obviously means that. And then have to... Now, they beat Panama 1-0, Ghana. I'm quite confident that we are going to be fine against Ghana. I don't want to be overconfident, I don't want to be cocky confident, but I think we're going to be
There's been some upsets in this World Cup so far.
There has been a few. But really, it's the goal scorers, the superstars, are all doing extremely well because everybody's talking about the Golden Boot. Lionel Messi scored both goals, so he's up to 5 in the tournament. He scored a hat-trick and then scored a brace yesterday against Austria. Kylian Mbappe for France scored another 2 goals as they beat Iraq 3-0, so he's up to 4. Erling Haaland, he scored 2 more goals as Norway beat Senegal, so he's up to 4 goals, so Harry Kane needs some more goals. But when it comes to the Norwegians, it's all the... I think it's row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. I don't know whether that's what they're singing, but they're all doing it.
I think it's more of like a Viking raider sort of thing.
Is it not?
Not so...
Is it not?
Yeah.
Row, row,
yeah.
your boat. OK, let's have a look at some of these. Now, this is on the pitch afterwards. Now, look, you can see the Norwegian players after the game last night. They're all doing the rowing. And there we are, and look, and there's all the fans. So the Norwegians are the stars. The fans are the stars of the World Cup at the moment. So there they are in the stadium. Let's have a look at them in New York. So there's other scenes of them in New York. Now, look at this one. They're actually on a train doing it. See that? Ellie, look at that.
It sends my Anglo-Saxon blood in chills down my spine.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's over 1,000 years ago. You've got to let it go now. And where else have we got it? So there we are. Now, this is the Norwegian Parliament yesterday. Now,
it's great, though, isn't it? It's going viral.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
so there we are, and they're all very much into it. It's like the Icelandics did that in, I think it was like 8 years ago, was it 12 years? 8 years ago.
Yeah.
When they were doing the thunderclap.
Yes.
So they've now got their rowing thing. We need something now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to say what our chant would be.
I don't know what we could have.
I wouldn't want to say what our chant's going to be.
What about a dance move, though?
Yeah, something. Just something.
A dance move?
Well, this is the rowing thing.
We need something.
There's the thunderclap, there's the rowing, so maybe if there's something that we could have...
Yeah, if only.
Leave it with us, we'll have to think.
Yeah.
Alex, you don't seem too keen on
Well,
this.
no, I just know where England fans would take this, because we are brutal.
It's everybody, it's all done in good humour.
Well, of course, because we've got a dark comedy, haven't we, about us? So we'll do something disparaging, which I think will be even funnier.
We've already heard a new chant. We'll share it with you in the break.
We have had a new chant.
OK.
But it's timely and political, we'll put it like that.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
OK. Don't want any of that business. Don't want any of that.
There might be some of that business tonight.
I don't think there'd be any of that business. No, I don't think any big. Anyway, big game, 9 o'clock tonight, England, and if they win, qualify into the last 32.
And Catherine is in Downing Street, is she not?
Yes, Starmer loyalist Darren Jones, the only cabinet minister that we've seen coming in so far. Very awkward, I expect, given how many of them were there for Andy Burnham's photo yesterday.
Today's Outlook. Cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Widespread sunny skies today, the odd shower or thunderstorm, but otherwise it's just increasingly hot across the United Kingdom with extreme heat expected in some places. Temperatures rising quickly once any showers and thunderstorms clear from the east of England. 1 or 2 showers could pop up across northern England and more especially the north and northwest of Scotland. Patchy cloud in northern areas, unbroken sunshine elsewhere, and temperatures widely across the UK looking at the mid to high 20s or low 30s, but across the heart of England into parts of Wales, temperatures into the mid-30s, 37 Celsius, the most likely maximum temperature. That would beat June's temperature record set in 1976. But it's going to get even hotter over the next few days. It's also going to stay very warm overnight, and you can see into the evening still temperatures in the mid-20s across a large part of Scotland, into Northern Ireland as well. Some patchy cloud here, blue skies continuing for many parts of England and Wales. 6 p.m. temperatures, 34, 35 Celsius for the likes of Oxford and London, for example. Those temperatures staying elevated overnight, especially around some western and southwestern coastal parts, with high humidity expected through the day and night of the next few days. We can expect a very oppressive feel to things, buildings and people struggling to cool down. So we start off Wednesday with temperatures already in the low to mid-20s, and those temperatures are going to rise very quickly through the morning. Wednesday, one of the hottest days of the week and one of the hottest days ever recorded in the UK. Patchy cloud and some showers in the north of Scotland, hot sunshine elsewhere, temperatures peaking at 39 Celsius, if not a little higher in places.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M4 eastbound, congestion is building between junctions 26 Malpas and 24 Coldra. The M60 anti-clockwise in Salford has one lane closed between junctions 11 and 10 due to a collision, causing a 40-minute delay. Normal traffic is expected by 9:15. The A14 westbound in Suffolk has one lane closed after a collision between junctions 39 Kentford and 37 Newmarket East, with normal conditions anticipated by 10:15. And on the trains, services are disrupted between London St Pancras International and Bedford due to hot weather. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense. and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Reform leader Nigel Farage renews his calls for a general election. It's as self-proclaimed King of the North, Andy Burnham, prepares for his coronation.
If he does become Prime Minister on July the 17th, he'll do so with no mandate whatsoever. No mandate whatsoever. And I think the public are sick to death of the game of musical chairs that's going on in Downing Street.
And Reform UK leader Nigel Farage also questioned the former Greater Manchester Mayor's stance on key issues.
We at the moment have almost no idea where this man stands on anything. He's flipped and flopped in the last month more than Keir Starmer has in the last 2 years.
But a key member of Sir Keir Starmer's government, Nick Thomas-Symonds, has given Andy Burnham his seal of approval.
For me, it is about a stable, orderly and swift transition. So that is what I am in favour of, and backing Andy Burnham to take over and to build upon the work of the last 2 years.
Well, a very awkward cabinet meeting looming in the next half hour or so, considering how few of them were standing in this street when the Prime Minister resigned yesterday, and how many of them flocked to be in the picture with the man of the moment and likely next Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
And happy Brexit Day, because today it's a decade since the great British public voted to leave the European Union, forever changing the course of our history.
And I will go to Parliament and propose that the British people decide our future in Europe through an in-out referendum on Thursday, the 23rd of June.
June the 23rd go down in our history as our Independence Day!
Against the prediction.
Well, earlier on in the programme, Nigel Farage expressed his anger over how Brexit was implemented.
No, we're not over it. We're not over it. And you know, I'm pretty angry 10 years on that the realistic expectations that people had for less regulation on small business, for immigration to be reduced, I'm pretty angry that the Tories in particular threw that away.
While a former Labour candidate is convicted of grooming gang offences in Sheffield. Charlie Peters will be bringing us the latest on that.
And we have waited a long time to bring you these details. Ammar Elias, convicted of 20 sexual offences. He ran for Labour in 2016. He was a youth worker, but he's avoided his 27-year sentence because he has taken the coward's route. He has fled to Pakistan.
Elsewhere today, former DUP leader Sir Geoffrey Donaldson is convicted of 18 historical sex offences against 2 women when they were children.
And the nation is preparing for record-breaking temperatures after the Met Office issued a rare extreme red heat warning.
It's already very warm out there this morning, and temperatures will rise quickly over the next few hours, peaking at 37 Celsius. But Wednesday and Thursday could be even hotter than that. Full details in the forecast coming up soon.
Good morning. It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I don't know if anyone managed to get a wink of sleep last night with that weather.
Yeah, it was just out of nowhere. Nobody said there was going to be thunderstorms. No one said there's going to be torrential rain. This is how reliable these forecasts are.
I've never seen thunder and lightning like it. Charlie, did you get any sleep?
Well, look, here's the thing. I was just talking to my fiancée. We slept for 7 or 8 hours quite perfectly. Got into work this morning and I was like, oh, you know, the weather's going to be a bit moody this week. And someone said to me, did you not get any of that last...
How did you sleep through that?
Yeah. I work hard, but I sleep hard as well.
Well, you clearly.
I needed it. Apparently this was going off, but I didn't have a Scooby-Doo about any of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say...
Look at the window. There was some evidence of storminess.
Well, I didn't get woken up by the thunder and lightning. There was the heat that kept me awake, because I can't sleep in anything that's above, like, 20 degrees, and I've got to have a freezing cold room to sleep in, which, you know...
Not a bit of a princess.
Yeah, he's very
a little bit.
Very particular as well.
Get you a fan for Christmas.
One of those air-conditioned ones, please, Charlie, if you don't mind.
There's so much flooding as well. This is a tube station in London. You can just see the platform covered in rain and the rain pouring down on the tracks there.
Well, and this has caused massive delays in London today. Severe. I mean, anything happens in London, there's severe delays. Let's be honest with you. But I wonder if this is happening up and down the country. Let us know if it is.
Yeah, we got a view in from a lady earlier who said she saw massive bolts of lightning last night and has just heard from her daughter who said a house fire had started near her because a lightning bolt had gone into a house. We're also seeing videos of that online as well, so we'll try and bring some of that to you later on in the programme.
And, of course, earlier on, moving on, we spoke to Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, who has renewed calls for a general election following the resignation of Sir Keir Starmer.
Well, Andy Burnham travelled down to London yesterday. Did you see the BBC sent a helicopter?
Oh, it was ridiculous.
Which covered Andy Burnham and his train journey down to London.
Utter nonsense. It really was, anyway.
Yeah, well, he came down to London where he was sworn in as the MP for Makerfield and he took a selfie with about 200 Labour MPs.
It's like a coronation, wasn't it? It was like he was king, almost, and he had a throne.
It was a hero's welcome, wasn't it?
It was.
Well, he's now poised to become the new Labour Party leader and, indeed, a Prime Minister.
Nigel Farage, indeed, made fierce criticisms of Andy Burnham, arguing the self-proclaimed King of the North, a phrase I hate personally, has not revealed his true policy position.
Because you don't think he's from the North, because you don't think Liverpool is in the north of the country.
No.
He started a debate on that one this morning.
Yeah.
He also took aim at Sir Keir Starmer for not implementing Brexit as he should have done.
10 years ago today, the British people, despite being told by the trade unions, big business, the Conservative Party, Labour Party, Lib Dems, Uncle Tom Cobley and all, do not vote Brexit or the sky will fall in. And they decided, you know what? We'll make a political decision. We'll vote to get back control of our country. And in those 10 years, most of our politicians have tried to either overturn the result out of their sheer contempt for the people or not implement it.
Well, that was Nigel Farage there, of course. We're now joined by Opposition Assistant Whip Katie Lamb. Good morning, Miss Lamb. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's start with Andy Burnham, shall we? He's the man everyone's talking about today. Many of your colleagues on the right are calling for a general election, but the Conservative Party isn't. Is that because it would be hypocritical for you to call a general election when you've had successive leaders in the past?
Well, I think we don't know yet exactly how the situation is going to play out. Is anybody else going to stand? Who is going to win? What is Andy Burnham's policy platform going to be when he arrives? What Kemi has said is if he isn't willing, as Keir Starmer was unwilling, to defend the nation, to commit the money necessary for defence, and finally to get a grip of the welfare bill in order to do so, then yes, absolutely, he should go to the people.
What did you make of his return to Westminster yesterday? He was met with huge fanfare, wasn't he? A hero's welcome in Westminster. That selfie with 200 or so Labour MPs, what did you make of it all?
I think it's fascinating that the Labour Party is trying to portray Andy Burnham as this, fresh face, this new start. He was first elected as an MP in 2001. When Andy Burnham first came to Parliament, I was in primary school. He is an establishment Labour man through and through. He's going to inherit exactly the same group of MPs that supported all of Starmer's worst ideas and pushed him to go even further. There's no way that he can do a better job of running this country because the problem, in the end, is the Labour Party.
Are you concerned Andy Burnham might be more popular than Keir Starmer? I mean, it wouldn't be too difficult to do considering Keir Starmer was the most unpopular Prime Minister in history. But are you concerned a rising Labour Party under Andy Burnham might call a snap election which may not play well for you?
Well, as you say, Andy Burnham is probably more charismatic than Keir Starmer, but this is not a high bar to clear. If there is a general election, then just as we saw last week in Aberdeen South, the Conservatives will mount a I think, very successful campaign. We will work very hard. We're still rebuilding a relationship of trust with the public, and that takes a lot of work and it takes a bit of time. But if the general election comes now, then the public will see a hell of a lot of Kemi Badenoch, and they are seeing more and more of her. They like her more and more. She is polling very well with the public, and so I think that will be a very exciting opportunity.
Can I just ask you, there's a new website that's come out recently called unitetheright.com, unitherightsuk.com, which is basically mapped out to the United Kingdom as if the right were to vote tactically. Currently, if the right don't vote tactically, this analysis shows you would drop to 92 seats, but if you did vote tactically, you would indeed gain seats, 133. Kemi Badenoch has maintained her position that she doesn't want to unite the right. Are you doing that? Is that cutting off your nose to spite your face?
Well, if you look just last week at the two by-elections that we had, the one in Makerfield, which was one of Reform's top targets for the country, and the one in Aberdeen South, which the Conservatives won, if there had been some kind of deal, it would not have led to Reform winning in Makerfield, and it could very possibly have led to the Conservatives losing in Aberdeen South. So it's very difficult to see, based on the actual evidence of the world that it exists, that there would be any tactical advantage from doing that at all. But fundamentally, the Conservative Party and the Reform Party don't believe the same things. The Reform Party is a much bigger spending, much less fiscally disciplined group of people and political movement. And that's fine if that's what people want to vote for, but it's not conservatism.
We are nearing a situation, aren't we, where this country has seen 7 prime ministers in just 10 years. I was speaking to a woman this morning who's got a 6-year-old son, and in his short life, just 6 years, he's seen 5 prime ministers. Do you think our politics is broken? Do you think the system is broken? Has this country become ungovernable?
The country is definitely not ungovernable, but the system as it stands now doesn't work. What we need is somebody to run the country who is willing to make a lot of the fundamental decisions and changes to the system that are needed to deliver what the British people actually want. Some of those changes are legislative, some of those are to do with international bodies, like leaving the European Court of Human Rights. Some of those are to do with the system and the civil service. But those changes can absolutely be made. The British Parliament is sovereign. The British Prime Minister is actually an exceptionally powerful figure within the context of the British system. But we need somebody like Kemi Badenoch to stand up and have the backbone and the courage to say and then do those things in power.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Katie Lamb, Opposition Assistant Whip there for the Conservative Party. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, at 12 minutes past 9, a former Labour candidate is among 3 brothers who have been convicted of grooming gang offences in Sheffield.
Kamar and Kamaran alias had been convicted of child sex abuse offences against 5 victims. Well, joining us now in the studio to tell us more about this is GB News national reporter Charlie Peters. Charlie, tell us what on earth has been going on here.
Well, we've waited a long time to talk about this case because Ammar Ilyas, his trial opened last year in September, but he fled while on court bail to Pakistan. We attended the first day of that trial, but there have been reporting restrictions on talking about it since his 2 brothers, Kamar and Kamran, were tried earlier this year. Now, all 3 have been found convicted of a range of crimes against 5 young victims. Ammar abusing all 5, and Kamran and Kamar also abusing the same girl who was first attacked when she was just 12 years old. Ammar was described by his nickname Killer in the court. It's a name he used to coerce his young victims. He also threatened them and showed an imitation firearm, one of the 21 offences that he was convicted of, having an imitation firearm with intent to intimidate. So these men carried out a campaign of abuse now 20 years ago in Sheffield, but yesterday justice was finally delivered. We heard in Sheffield Crown Court from the impact statements one victim saying that she had finally been heard. Another saying thank you to Ammar Ilyas. Thank you for having a smug face when you walked around thinking you were free. Thank you for driving past my house trying to intimidate me, saying it only encouraged her to have the strength to keep going. They spoke about how much they endured going through this delayed court process and the efforts these brothers made to ensure that they tried to escape justice. Well, what we can bring you today also is that Ammar Ilyas has avoided some justice because he fled to Pakistan. I have more details behind this case for you now.
Known as killer to his victims, Ammar Ilyas used a gun and threats of gang rape to coerce young girls into abuse. Ilyas was meant to be jailed today alongside his younger brothers Kamran and Kamar, but Ammar absconded before his trial. He is believed to be in Pakistan. Ammar was found guilty of 20 offences against 5 victims. His brothers were found guilty of 5 sexual offences against one of the girls, who was just 12 years old when Kamar met her. But GB News can reveal today that after his grooming gang offending, Ammar became a Labour Party candidate and a youth worker. In 2019, Ammar Ilyas, working as a taxi driver, was stabbed in the head by a drug dealer who was later jailed for the attack. The stabbing was part of a spate of violence that erupted in Sheffield, which included a shotgun being fired at the home of a local politician. Ilyas was supported by activists from the Corbyn-backing Momentum group after his stabbing. They described him as a wonderful comrade in a fundraiser. The taxi driver was working as an anti-knife crime campaigner for the charity Mums United. There is no suggestion that Mums United nor the Labour Party were aware of Ammar's crimes. He was a director at the charity until 2020. The same year, he was arrested by the National Crime Agency for his sex abuse crimes. But unlike Kamar and Kamran, Ammar remains on the run. Charlie Peters, GB News, Sheffield.
Yesterday we heard from Mr Justice Hampton, the judge at Sheffield Crown Court, who's been organising this case, saying, I will deal with him when he is brought to me, referring to Ammar, saying that all efforts must be made to ensure that Ammar Ilyas is returned from Pakistan. Now, we have heard over a number of court processes that Ammar has claimed that he is too ill to be in Britain, that he can't return due to all sorts of health-related issues. The National Crime Agency, they say that they are pursuing him. They've also said that people can get in touch with any information they have about his whereabouts. But his brothers, Kamran and Kamar, they will spend 10 years and 3 years behind bars for their sex crimes, needing to send 2/3 and half of their sentence before they are released from custody. Should also say, of course, there is no suggestion that the Labour Party nor Mums United, that youth worker charity, were aware of Ammar Ilyas's crimes, nor were the Momentum group, the group that obviously supported Jeremy Corbyn at the time, that described Ammar Ilyas as a comrade after he was stabbed in the head. He worked as a taxi driver, he was a local politician, he was also a youth worker, but now he is a convicted sex offender escaping 27 years behind bars on the run in Pakistan.
Thank you so much for bringing us that shocking report, Charlie. Thank you, good work.
Thank you, Charlie. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to be speaking to an ally of Andy Burnham's, who says that the former Greater Manchester Mayor could be just what this country needs to get back on track. We'll be talking to him next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless.
I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Right, well, joining us now is the co-creator of the Warehouse Project and nighttime economy advisor, Sasha Lord. Sasha, thanks so much for coming on today, mate. Really good to see you again. I mean, look, I first wanted to say, you know, you're a good friend and ally of Andy Burnham's. What's your reaction to seeing Andy up in Westminster yesterday and, of course, to the resignation of Keir Starmer?
Well, look, I mean, firstly, Alex, haven't things moved quickly since I was sat with you in the studio only 10 days ago, I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
I think if I can say firstly on Keir Starmer, you know, I genuinely believe he was a good person. I genuinely believe he wanted what was right for the country. But bottom line was he was not good enough as leader. He wasn't good enough to be the Prime Minister, and he made many mistakes. I have to say, it was very odd yesterday. You know, I was watching the news and flicking between different channels, including yourselves, but to see two helicopters following Andy's train down from Manchester was kind of really weird. You know, it was very odd. And, you know, the amount of people on my timeline who are posting pictures and selfies with Andy that they've had over the years in Greater Manchester, you know, he's been on there for 9 years, and that's what he does very well. You know, he connects with people, and everybody in Greater Manchester has an Andy story, and we talk about this Manchesterism. So I think this is really exciting times now for the country. I really believe that.
How is Manchesterism going to work on a national stage, though? And that's what people are concerned about now. They know him as the Greater Manchester Mayor, but they don't really know anything else. They don't know what he stands for. They don't know his policy. And this is a man that could be Prime Minister in just 3 weeks.
3.5 weeks. You know, I think you're absolutely right. And Andy has to come out now and say exactly who he is. You know, he does come with a good CV, though. Let's not forget, before he was the Mayor of Greater Manchester, he served in Cabinet under Gordon Brown. But, you know, I can speak, and I spoke on Alex's programme about my sector, about hospitality. And hospitality at the moment is being destroyed. And, you know, Rachel Reeves has ignored the 5th biggest sector in the whole of the UK. And I've had conversations with Andy about this. We're losing 2 pubs a day. Our high streets are being tripled. We're losing small independent businesses. And what Andy has said straight away is, OK, well, he's going to reduce business rates even further by another 20%. for pubs. Some cafes and smaller restaurants won't have to pay any business rates. He's looking at reversing the national insurance increase that decimated over 120,000 jobs in my sector since it was introduced. And the vast majority of those jobs are for 18 to 24-year-olds. So Saturday jobs to help get you through college and stuff, they've gone. And then back in February, he did commit at a conference to reducing VAT and bringing it in line with Europe. That is the one thing that the whole of the sector is screaming for. So certainly for hospitality, I find the noise very, very encouraging.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking for support, particularly pubs. They're the backbone of Britain, aren't they? There are cultural hubs across the country. No one wants to see more of them closed. Sasha, being quite enlightening for people at home to know what kind of person Andy Burnham is behind the media screens, because, of course, all we see of Andy is the politics, is the interviews. What kind of person is he?
Do you know what, Alex? I was thinking about this last night. I think he's going to be an absolute nightmare for his security. I don't think they'll be able to handle him, because this is a man who could, he's a big Everton fan. He could quite easily sit in the chairman's box, but he doesn't. He wants to sit on the terraces where he's always held a season ticket. I think he will still want to do the same. I know a few weeks ago, he loves his bands, he loves his music, and the band James were playing at Co-op Live in Manchester. And Co-op Live got in touch with his office to say, look, come in one of the corporate boxes. And he said, no, I want to go and stand on the ground with his son, Jimmy, I'm confident he will still want to do that. I think he is going to be a nightmare for security, because he's always wanted to
the man of the people.
He is, absolutely.
Yeah, Sasha Lord, really good to get your perspective on things and your insight this morning. Thank you very much for joining us on GB News Breakfast.
Thanks again, Sasha. Good to see you.
Thank you. We were just seeing live pictures as well of cabinet arrivals, weren't we? Yvette Cooper walking into 10 Downing Street. It'll be a very awkward meeting there this morning.
Yeah, I wonder what they'll all be talking about. Just be reminiscing on their time in the government, I guess.
Yeah, perhaps. Well, all of that coming up. Britain's Newsroom with Charlie Peters and Olivia Utley. That's up next.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Widespread sunny skies today, the odd shower or thunderstorm, but otherwise it's just increasingly hot across the United Kingdom, with extreme heat expected in some places. Temperatures rising quickly once any showers and thunderstorms clear from the east of England. 1 or 2 showers could pop up across northern England and more especially the north and northwest of Scotland. Patchy cloud in northern areas, unbroken sunshine elsewhere, and temperatures widely across the UK looking at the mid to high 20s or low 30s, but across the heart of England into parts of Wales, temperatures into